Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
because the lady will be here or whoever it is. All right, so we're gonna get Betty. You might have to step in for her. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Gonzales Unified School Board of Education, a regular board meeting for Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. It is 6 p.m. My name is Jose Lopez. I am the board president. May I get a roll call, please, Monica? Here.
Present? Here.
Present.
Present.
Thank you. Welcome guests. I see we have Dr. Galicia among the audience. Welcome, Dr. Galicia, to our board meeting. Superintendent, any additional guests? Oh, student, yeah, hi, welcome.
Hi, Andrew.
Moving on to item number 4, Pledge of Allegiance. Maria, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the
Flag
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Number 5 is approval of agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
Move Cuevas.
Second by
Second.
Ms. Daniels. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carries on. It's approved by majority consent. Item number 6, approval of minutes. 6.1, approval of minutes. May I get a motion, please?
So move Daniel.
Can I get a second?
Araceli, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes. Item number 7 is closed session topics. 7.1, public employee appointment, employment, government code section 54957. Can I get a motion for this, please?
Move Cuevas.
It's been moved by Ms. Cueva, second by
Araceli.
Ms. Flores. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? So we're going to be moving on to closed session at this moment. So we'll be back in what?
4 minutes, yes.
We have public comment
No, we did that already. I was voting. on
for
public
closed session? Do we have any? None? No. So we have no public comments for closed session. We'll have public comments for regular session when we come back from closed session. All right. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and report to closed session. We'll be back in about 20, 30 minutes. Thank you.
School, no. No. It's when we have, when we have employees and students.
Okay. And then, health lunches, I just run in the office and then step out. I just put the lunch bag there. Do I still need one? Fairview. My daughter will forget her lunch bag sometimes in my car. So,
Just go into the office, drop it off, and then come back.
yeah. Oh, okay, so that's not an issue.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
no, it's when you're perceived to be on campus.
okay. And was to pick up my son, but I was sitting,
Mom is taking
Waiting
care
for
of her
him.
more, so
I don't know if
I'm
that,
used to her. She used to cry every time.
maybe I needed to check in even though it was,
All I know is I was asked to give a reminder to board members to
Okay.
make sure they check in the back office.
I just want to make sure I'm doing it right.
You're going on campus without checking in?
No, I was only here once at the high school because my son was sick or he wasn't feeling good. He had a headache. So I couldn't pick him up, but I didn't get like a check-in or anything. So I think I needed to do that, but I didn't know.
I got a little daughter.
Because things are new now, you know, with the,
Well, every time I come on campus, I always, well, before I even go, I tell district
Yeah.
office, hey,
yeah. That was the only time I didn't check in, like technically, because I just couldn't pick up my son.
so how do you want to do this part?
This one has it down.
Monica, are we ready?
This is from 2012.
Okay.
The fees for facilities.
Can you someone maybe want to? Okay, perfect.
Feel obligated to stay.
Oh my God.
Show you Let's start. Do you know the walk home or?
Bless you.
Yeah, so yeah, you know, probably won't stay too. Yeah. When I was anytime here. Yeah, not gonna happen. You might like, you can even like after the superintendent report maybe. You know, I'm not gonna keep talking, but then you'll hear from all the things and then all the other stuff is gonna, you know.
Is this for general public comment?
Like some of this stuff. It's hard for adults.
Testing 1, 2, testing. Danny, is yours just public comment? Just regular public comment? Okay.
Oh, Maria's got a stack. Take them, pass it down.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. We're reporting at a closed session. At this time, there's no action. Begin again. Okay, we are reporting back out of closed session. At this time, there's no action to be taken on the closed session topics. We're going to be moving on to item number 8, public comments on we already did the closed session public comments. Now we're going to do public comments on the regular board agenda. So at this time, I'm going to invite Gracie Leon. You have 3 minutes on your public comment, please.
Good evening, board members. Tonight, I'm here as a student, an athlete, and a member of this community over my concerns about the shortage in teachers in the district. Growing up here and attending all sites, there has always been a shortage, but it's becoming more prevalent in high school. My next 2 years are very concerning because I don't feel as though I'm getting the education I need in order for me to succeed in college or university. Many of the substitutes are not like the right teachers that I need for some of my classes. And it's becoming more concerning to me, especially over the next 2 years, since these are very important to me in graduating and able to succeed in life. I'm concerned over the fact that I'm not getting the education that I need and that I deserve. My question is, what are you guys doing to solve the problem?
Since it's public comment, we can't answer your question at this, but we're going to direct it to the superintendent to follow up with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gracie.
Mr. Bravo, would you like?
Should I wait for the
You
time
want
to
me
restart?
or-
Perfect. So, hi, my name's Mr. Bravo. Thank you for appointing me as one of your substitutes this year. I became a substitute like as you heard already, because there isn't that supply, the proper substitute, the proper teachers teaching this. But I want to make two things clear. One is I spent the past 2 days, if you can't walk the walk, then talk the talk. So I actually went in to the school and became a substitute to help change things and not just talk about them, right? I saw entering was a struggle. I'm not going to lie to you. Entering was a struggle. I waited for weeks, but then I had the support of some wonderful board members who I'm going to keep them to my heart because they know who they are. These two board members, they helped me through my path. I know that the counselors have helped me and some teachers and some faculty and staff, and I appreciate them very much. I want to let them know from the inside and point of view, the school is doing everything they can to help this. I've seen the struggles myself personally. If you guys were to see the struggles, you guys would know. Okay. So it's always, let's put hate on the board. Let's put hate. The only thing I do ask of you is support from the board. The teachers, they're doing their best to do it. The campus supervisors, they're doing their best. And the principal and Ocampo and Mr. Hector, I want to say thank you for the HR. He is doing his job tremendously well. Okay. These people are doing their job. The problem is not that. The problem is that they need support, and it's not your guys' fault that you don't know what's going on, because I know that you guys have a big agenda and a lot of things to address. There's been my first day subbing, I caught someone high as a kite coming into my classroom, and the next I saw a kid gambling right before my eyes. So there's two main reasons for concern, and I hope we can address that or maybe solve that. And lastly, kids are coming up to me like, Mr. Bravo, you went to college. How do I get to college? I asked each one of my periods. I subbed for room 60 physics my first day. And I would like to say I did a tremendous job. On the board, my kids wrote, bring back Mr. Bravo today. You can go check that out for yourselves. But I went up to them and I said, do you guys know what your major is? One kid told me, Mr. Bravo, what's a major? Another one said, Mr. Bravo, I don't think I'm going to college. I don't know anything about college. So I'm offering you guys my free assistance, my free help to help, get a program started. Maybe there is one in place. Maybe there is. But a lot of my kids don't know about it. These are my babies now. I told them I'll follow you guys until you guys graduate. I will do everything in my power to make sure that they reach college. I'll let you guys know that. Whether that means they come to my house at 8 o'clock at night around my small Mexican kitchen dinner table, and we're working on fast food, we're working on all that good stuff. I know you guys are trying your best, so please help us there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bravo. Okay, do we have any other public comments here from the audience? Otherwise, we do have some from emails that were emailed to the district earlier today, so we're going to begin with them.
This is from,
They're all going to be just 3 minutes, so at the 3-minute mark, we'll move on to the next one.
somebody, let me know. This is from Ms. Lanfranco. Dear Superintendent Irving and Gonzales Unified School District Board members, I am writing to share with you a few concerns that many of us teachers, especially teachers of our little bulldogs, have to ask you for your support in addressing these concerns. It's my hope that we can address these concerns and ensure that La Gloria remains the great school that has been my home for the past 15 plus years. The first concern I have is that we are short on yard duty supervision. There are not enough classified staff along with the teachers. I'm gonna take off my mask. Along with the teachers on yard duty. Currently, we supervise the students and keep them safe on the playground. Our youngest students need far more supervision than the older students, and we are putting out the bare minimum of people, which does not cover all playground areas, including supervision of the bathroom and drinking faucet area. Because we are already stretched thin on recess supervision, if there are any classified or certified staff out, the problem is exacerbated. Sorry, I lost my space. This goes for cafeteria supervision as well. There are way too few classified staff to supervise that many young children, many of whom still need help opening their milk and other containers wrappers. Another concern that many teachers, myself included, have is in fact of the huge learning gap these students are coming in with due to being on distance learning during COVID when the schools were closed. Teachers need support to be able to provide targeted intervention to ensure that all students are able to achieve at high levels. This is also being seen at the TK and kindergarten levels. Even though most students, this is their first year at La Gloria School, we are noticing that students are coming in less prepared for success in a school setting this year than in years past. Many students were not able to go to preschool last year. Having the support of extra classified staff in these younger grade levels would go a long way towards helping our younger students adjust to school and be more successful. The value of having classified staff in the classroom and working with students at all grade levels, especially at TK and kindergarten, cannot be overstated. In the past, our school has had a lot of success using classified staff for targeted intervention to raise test scores, to assist with students who need a little extra care and love, and to provide much needed support for teachers and the school. When we had more classified staff on campus, our classroom hallways, playgrounds, and cafeteria were better supervised as well. The classified staff we have already are amazing. Thank you.
Moving on to the next public comment.
This is from Ms. Bianca Perez. Good evening, Superintendent and board members. Last year, although we did our best virtual, did the timer start? Okay. Our best virtual and brought back kids for a bit. This year, I look forward to greeting the kids in the morning and being able to teach them in person. I appreciate everything you have done and continue to do for the kids. They're the reason we all get into education, and although each day is different, they truly make my day worthwhile. As we know, many of our current kindergarten students did not get the opportunity to attend a preschool. And this year, our hallways are their first experience in a school setting. Hallways are new, playground expectations are new, and masks to cover their face for long periods of time is a whole different concept. With our classes having more students than usual, would you consider adding more classified staff to help at La Gloria? Since I joined GUSD in 2014, I have always been fortunate to have support. As a first-year teacher, my aide helped when I needed guidance or offered suggestions to help my groups run more smoothly, as she had seen very successful teachers. I can't tell you how grateful I was and continue to be for the first year's help. This year, however, things are a bit different. As I mentioned before, our numbers are higher. I have 29 kiddos who I have had the privilege of teaching, but I know that with an extra set of hands, all students would benefit. I feel that kinder aid could be beneficial to all students at our school. These are just a few ways that would help our little bulldogs. Small groups, I think not only kindergarten students would benefit, but even those first graders who may need additional support after distant learning. An extra classified staff would be able to pull out small groups to help those who need extra support achieving mastery. Lunch supervisors, excuse me, many kids need help in opening juice boxes, milk, and other containers. I see most of us stay during lunch to help provide support. With more helping hands, students would have more time to eat and be nourished for the second half of the day. Student support. With kids out sick, coming back to school requires relearning school routine. A huge shout out to the office for helping the kids walk our class. But with other parents calling in, I can only imagine how 5 to 10 minutes can set them back in the morning. We always say it's for the kids. I know that we all do mean it. My hope today is that you consider what is best for the kids and bring back more classified staff to support children. I know funding is always an issue, but I look forward to working together to see what we can do to bring some more support to La Gloria. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're smiling like you're getting a short one. I don't think you are.
Gonzales Unified School Board. As a former kindergarten teacher at La Gloria Elementary School for close to 40 years, I am keenly aware of the educational validity and major benefits of having a classroom aide. For many students, kindergarten is the first step of their educational journey. From a 5-year-old child's perspective, he or she will be expected to adjust from an egocentric point of view and behavior to a communal coexistence. To bridge this change and reap all the benefits school has to offer, a classroom aide provides invaluable assistance. In many classrooms, the teacher and the aide work as partners with the goal of improving student achievement. As students' needs are continually evaluated and monitored by the teacher, the aide provides individual and small group support. This intervention model is extremely important for student growth as students receive immediate feedback and reinforcement. The classroom aide also brings a different and unique viewpoint from that of the teacher and serves as an additional positive role model, aiding our many English language learners. Often as a community member, the aide has the advantage of establishing relationships within Gonzales. Another byproduct of having a classroom aide is help with management and behavior. Together, the teacher and the aide guide the student as they learn cognitive and social skills. Overall, the main impact of teacher aides in the classroom is to optimize the student's learning while supporting the teacher. An aide can provide assistance for children with learning difficulties as well as for those students who are gifted and could benefit from a challenge. It has been my extensive experience that student achievement is significantly increased by having a partnership between the teacher and the aide in the classroom. Leslie Casavan. Oh, my kindergarten teacher. 1975 to 2014.
Dear Superintendent Irving and our respected board members, my name is Jennifer Robinson, and this is my 16th year as a kindergarten teacher at La Gloria Elementary. I am reaching out to you because as the leader of our district and respected board members, you know the importance of a successful early educational experience as evidenced by you devoting your time and energy to do everything for the Gonzales community. As long as I've been an educator within this district, we have always had instructional aides to help support our incoming TK and kindergartners. From my understanding, there have been aides at La Gloria Elementary for 40+ years. For many students, this is possibly their first time ever attending school, an entirely new experience for these 4- and 5-year-old children. As you know, our community has a large number of English language learners, not to mention the migrant families. Not only does a significant amount of our students' families not speak English, but a large number also work long hours outside of the home in agriculture. This means that our students go to after-school babysitters, daycare, or home with siblings. With the support of instructional aides in our classroom, our TK kindergartners receive a social, emotional, nurturing, and safe environment, along with additional one-on-one and small group intervention daily. I can't stress enough that this is a tremendous need in our classrooms. Again, I would like to emphasize how indispensable instructional aides are when in the classroom setting and also their presence around the campus. We work as a team, making sure all students succeed and they form relationships with our students, whom are the future. Sincerely, Jennifer Robinson, La Gloria Elementary Kindergarten.
Is there another one?
Oh, there's. Andrew can also read
Yeah.
public comment. Go for it, Andrew.
Just say from who it is.
Good evening, board members and GUSD community. First of all, I hope everyone finds themselves in good spirit with the start of 2021 to 2022 school year. As the week progresses, as a community, we continue to hear of COVID cases. For this reason, I encourage all to take preventive measures and follow safety protocols that our county health department has shared with our community via school sites and city announcements. We can all do our part by following safety protocols. My family and I would like to congratulate the following individuals. Al- Mhm. For Albert Villa for his promotion with MOT. Albert is a key adult in the success of our GUSD kiddos. He is kind and firm with picking up and driving our students to their respective schools. He greets our kiddos and knows their names. He is a genuine and caring individual for the matter. We thank you, Albert and GUSD, for having such wonderful, caring, and competent personnel. I would also like to congratulate Danny Bravo as our certificated substitute for our district. I met Danny as a student assistant with the YMCA program at LGE summer of 2014. He is genuinely caring and will extend the helping hand when needed. He comes from a wonderful family I have had the pleasure of knowing since childhood. Danny is an alumni and proud Spartan that returned to his community to continue modeling the great work of GHS Spartans, Fairview Warriors, and La Gloria Bulldogs. Go, Danny. Thank you for your time. Areli Mancheca. Mansara.
Thank you. Bring it back down this way. This is from Areli Mancera Calderon. Good evening, board members. A collaborative superintendent-board relationship is essential to the successful and efficient oversight of the school district. The relationship between the superintendent and the school board lies at the heart of the school governance. To illustrate the importance of a collaborative superintendent-board relationship, Carter and Cunningham, 1997, this is a book she's referring to, found that the primary reason for superintendents leaving their district was due to the lack of support from and conflict relationships with school board members. Further, Ray stated that a superintendent can possess all the necessary competencies to be an effective leader, but it is the school board's perception of success that really matters. Number 5 is evaluating the superintendent role of the school board. Board, I encourage you to replace your collective efforts in pondering the following questions. Number 1 is, does the school board share the same vision, beliefs, and mission as the governing board, as the governing of the schools? Number 2, has the board and district relationship team defined roles, built trusting relationships, and communicated effectively in the first month of the 2021-22 school year? Number 3, will the superintendent's evaluation process maintain a harmonious relationship between the superintendent and the school board for this 2021-2022 school year? Number 4, has the board and the superintendent defined and agreed upon the roles and responsibilities of each position during the summer of the 2021-2022 school year? Number 5, does Gonzales Unified School District have the operational protocols that assist in improving communication between superintendent and board members as of the 2020-21 school year? Number 6, will establishing standards for educational leaders and board members lead to student success in this 2021-2022 school year? Thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing from all school board members and Superintendent Irving. Respectfully, Areli Mancera Calderon. Thank you. Moving on to the next one. Oh, I think was that the last one? No, we still have one more.
This is from Kimberly Holmes. Dear board members, I'm writing to you because of health and safety concerns. I have a classroom teacher at La Gloria. I am a classroom teacher at La Gloria. Since returning to in-person learning in April 2021, I have had several parents ask me this question. Do you think it is safe for my child to be back at school? Beyond telling them that I will do everything in my power to keep their child safe, I do not know what else to say. There are several reasons for this hesitation. Since the start of the current school year, I noticed that it did not appear that students' desks were being fogged like they were in the previous school year. Teachers noticed that fogging takes place because papers on tables would curl after fogging. This just got me thinking that this practice was no longer taking place. Upon emailing my site administrators and Trini, the response I received was that it was happening after school once teachers had left. Again, I did not see the evidence of this, so I brought the issue up to Mr. Demick at our August SLT and was told he would contact Trini. After waiting for an update, I again emailed Trini and my site administrators in hopes that there would be some sort of details on how classrooms were being sanitized and if fogging was taking place. The email I then received from Trini stated that our superintendent would be reporting these details. A few days later, Superintendent Irving responded to a fellow teacher and included me in the email. She listed sanitation practices such as the cleaning of frequently touched surfaces, such as door handles and light switches, etc. I can tell you that I have not witnessed any door handle or light switch being sanitized during the school day. I emailed Superintendent Irving, and immediately after receiving her response on Friday, September 10th, seeking more clarification on this sanitation is taking place. And as of the time I am writing this email, I have not heard back. If these sanitation practices are occurring after school, it seems like a better idea to sanitize frequently touched surfaces throughout the day when they are being utilized the most by staff and students. The only cleaning that I am witnessing in my room is what was being done pre-pandemic, which is removing trash and vacuuming. While this is always very much appreciated during a pandemic of this magnitude, I would feel more safe and more confident that my students' health and my own were being made a priority. I understand that the Monterey County Health Department and CDC set guidelines for sanitation practices, but instead of going with what seems to be the bare minimum of what is required, why not be the school district that does above that goes above and beyond to keep their students safe and healthy during this pandemic? Please talk to teachers, classified staff, and parents. We want to have input into what sanitation practices are taking place.
Thank you. And I think this concludes the public comments that we had online. Any other public comments from the public present here tonight? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to item number 12, public hearing. 12.1, the board will hold a public hearing on the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for the 2021-2022 school year. Go ahead, I'm opening up the public hearing at this time for this particular item. Opening. Okay. You have to read it. Can't read that. Oh. I can't see that far. Okay, public hearing notice. Education Code 60252 specifies that the governing boards of school districts are subject to the requirements of Education Code Section 60119 in order to receive funds for pupil textbooks and instructional materials, incentive program Education Code Section 60252, and or funds for instructional materials from any state source in a fiscal year in which the superintendent of public instruction determines that the base revenue limit per average daily attendance, ADA, for each school district shall increase by at least 1% from the prior fiscal year. The general public is invited to participate and make comment in the hearing scheduled to be heard at the Gonzales Unified School District Board of Trustees regular board meeting for today, September 14, 2021. After a public hearing is held pursuant to Education Code Section 60119, the Board of Trustees of the Gonzales Unified School District hereby determines by resolution that each pupil in each school in the district has sufficient textbooks or instructional materials or both in each core subject area that are aligned to the content standards and are consistent with the content and cycles of the curriculum framework adopted by the state board. The superintendent is authorized to certify that the school district has has complied with the requirements of Education Code Section 60119 and 60605 and assign the certification document. This notice is posted on all school sites throughout Gonzales Unified School District for public view, including the district website. Any comments or questions shall be directed to the district office located at 600 Elko Street, Gonzales, California, 93926, or at 831-675-0100. So without any comments, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. Perfect. So public hearing is closed now. Moving on to item number 13.
Do we have board comments?
This was for the public. Correct. It's a public hearing, so
Are there any board comments allowed?
would you like to comment?
I'm just saying, it's a public hearing. I don't know that folks are aware of exactly what the hearing is about. Can you please elaborate a little bit more? Now, so the ed code 60119 is referred to, so it's ed code 60605. Just so that the public knows a little bit.
So the ed code that trustee Iona is referring to has to do with the Williams Act settlement. And the board has discussed this item before. It pertains to sufficiency of materials, meaning that all students have what they need to learn, primarily textbooks, but it can include science, materials, et cetera. It is also in regards to our facilities, making sure that our facilities are safe, that there's adequate lighting, that there is water fountains in place. And it also pertains to making sure that we have the best qualified teachers in front of our students. And in fact, this evening, Dr. Galicia is going to be presenting on the different credentials that the district takes into account when hiring a teacher for a classroom in Gonzales Unified.
Thank you, Ms. Irvin.
And can we also elaborate into which classes we're talking about sufficiency of material?
So sufficiency of materials basically pertains to grades K-8, but it also has, it pertains to K-8 because those are adopted curriculums specifically for those grade levels in English language arts, math, science, and social studies. The high school level are 9th through 12th grade content subject areas have flexibility. It doesn't lie with a single board adoption, but high school is in fact also obliged to make sure there's a sufficiency of any material put before a student, as well as the teacher credentialing and the facilities aspects.
Right, and so specifically to high school, basically, for sure, the core classes, math, science, English, social science, sorry. And Williams was the settlement basically that used this ed code to create a settlement in the 90s, I believe. And so that's why in every class there's a notice there that if you don't have books, you don't have teachers, and you don't feel safe in the school, that there's something you can do about it, which is you can file a complaint with site admin or the district office. But so sufficiency of materials basically so that every child has a textbook that they can have with them or take home, or also it could also be satisfied by having a digital copy, like as an example on the Chromebook.
That is correct.
So right now, are we, because I believe right now the kids take both the textbooks and the Chromebook. to school.
Depending on the class. That's correct.
Yeah.
Depending on the class, correct.
Right. So, and I think that there was a suggestion that we would be moving to digital copies, you know, of the textbooks, because obviously if a kid weighs 100 pounds and they're carrying 30 pounds worth of books, that's not so good for their back, right?
So yes, Mr. Ione, you are correct. I took a recommendation to the board to gradually transition this district to online textbooks. First and foremost is the safety of our students, and adolescents have a physiology that is developing. And as you said, carrying a backpack full of books is detrimental. The second and equally important fact is that day to day history changes in our world. And so our ability to update textbooks every 7 years per an adoption cycle does not keep up with the changes that are occurring on a day-to-day basis. And if we move to an electronic-based textbook system, the updates are pushed out. And so our students would always have access to contemporary information and materials.
Definitely. And also another way to address this issue is have a classroom set. Then the kid can leave their book at home, and when they go to class, guess what? The book's right there, so they don't have to carry it.
Well, that somewhat defeats the purpose because our students from now and moving forward will always need a computer in the classroom. So they will be taking Chromebooks back and forth. If the book is loaded on the Chromebook, they would not even need a classroom set.
Right, but right now that's not the case. So right now the case is that they're carrying the books and the Chromebook.
Which
So-
is why I said that I had come to the board for us to start transitioning to this. Correct.
Right, and I'm just saying as a temporary fix, a classroom set would solve a lot of those issues.
And we have established as of the hearing this evening that we do have those classroom sets in all of our core classrooms.
We know this for a fact.
We do.
So every court, who has certified that?
The site administrators with their teachers.
So every kid that's taking math, science, social science, English has a classroom set for their disposal.
They
For
have
their-
they have their consumables and are not considered part of a classroom set. But the hard copy adoptions are in our classrooms.
So if they forget the book, they can go and borrow one. If all the kids forget the book, all
So
30,
every classroom and every content area has a different system. We have some classrooms that the kids don't take the books home, that the books are used within the classroom. We have other classrooms that they send the books home at the beginning of the year, and then they assign, thank you, Andrew, you should be having this conversation. He's shaking his head. Others, classroom teachers send it home, and the teachers utilize it for homework. There are a set of teachers that may require students to carry the books, but that is not a blanket expectation within our district.
I think we should have the expectation that the kids shouldn't be carrying books, that there's a classroom set, so they don't need to. And they can keep their book at home. You know, in the old day, in the 90s, we had lockers right there in the quad. There was lockers, right? So you brought your books and you put them in the locker. So you don't have to drag your book all day, every day, like all 6 books. You just drag whatever book you're going to class, right? But now you have kids that are dragging all the books all day.
So I respect that feedback. The district is not in a position to buy a second set of our entire curriculum in order to ensure a home set and a classroom set. The board should be reminded that a single textbook at the secondary level can run between $150 and $380 a book. And so adoptions are extremely costly, which is also a third consideration for us moving to an online textbook. But it will be a gradual process because in fact, we have teachers that do not want electronic textbooks. They want to maintain the adoption cycle, including adopting hardbound books. So what we've done most recently is we have brought forth for adoption curriculum that has a hardbound or consumable component, and in addition, has access via technology.
That transition guesstimate, are we talking weeks, months, years?
We would follow the adoption cycle as per the state of California.
The digital transition, the transition from,
It would follow an adoption cycle because we need, the adoption cycle is what will identify, at least through K-8 and in some areas at secondary, those curriculums that we can choose from.
right, so right now, if a teacher, social science, this is my last comment, promise. If a teacher a teacher says, hey, I want access for all my kids, I want digital access of this book for all my kids, would they be able to do that? And if so, how? And are
So-
they allowed?
So if in fact the curriculum that they are utilizing has digital access, we would work with our technology services department and the academic coaches to enable the teacher and the students to have access to it.
I think that would be a very reasonable thing to happen at our schools. You know, seeing little kids carrying a ton of books, it just doesn't make sense to me. I understand the particulars, but I'm just saying, and I know you can't, just, snap your fingers and make it happen, but I hope that the public, teachers, everybody's listening here, that, our biggest mandate is looking out for the kids, right? I'm looking out for the kids. I don't want them to carry 30 pounds of books, plus their Chromebook.
I don't disagree, and we've had this conversation, I don't. If I can just add one more comment, since you opened this up talking about the Williams settlement. I came to this position from the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services at the Monterey County Office of Education. And in that position, I oversaw the Williams visits to our districts. I also oversaw Williams complaints. And I would not underestimate the Gonzales parents, because in 2018, we had multiple complaints via the Williams settlement process brought to the attention of the county office. We investigated each and every one of them and then returned to the district with our findings. So the Williams settlement has been actively used by this community and this district 5 years ago. So they are to be commended for that.
No, yeah. And, I think like one of the public comments said that, we could, I know that we're meeting when we need to meet in regards to Williams. I know that. I'm not questioning that at all. All I'm saying is that we could try to go that extra step and say, hey, kids, you don't have to carry every book. There's these other options you can have. Guess what? There's a classroom set. Guess what? You can access it online. That's going above and beyond.
And that's also done in consultation with the teachers in the classroom, because they ultimately have a voice in this conversation as to what instructional materials are used.
I'm sure they do, but I'm just, there might be some that maybe that doesn't work for them, but I'm thinking that there's quite a bit that it probably does work for them.
Thank you, Mr. Ayon. Okay, go ahead and moving on to item number 13, information items. 13.1, human resources, credentials, waivers, and permit presentation. I believe Dr. Galicia was going to lead this presentation.
Yes, Dr. Galicia is here this evening to follow up on a request by the board to give an overview of credentials, waivers, and permits. These three areas have changed significantly over the last 2 years. And so Dr. Galicia is hopefully going to transition this to layman's terms and help the board as well as the community understand the different areas.
Does work. Thank you. Good evening, Board President Lopez, board members, and Superintendent Irving. I am Dr. Hector Galicia, the Director of Human Resources. This evening, I'm going to present to you information about credentials, waivers, as well as permits, and as we're referring to our teachers shortage, as well as substitute shortage. I like the green dot here. Green light brings us energy and vibrancy in life. As we see here, we have multiple teaching credentials. We have the multiple subject teaching credential, the single subject, as well as your special education, and then the designated subject areas. The multiple subject teaching credential, for the most part, is at the elementary level. In some cases, it could lead into the secondary level if it is a self-contained classroom, as an example. Then we have the single subject teaching credentials, which is very specific to the different subject areas at the secondary level, your core subject areas, math, social science, and thus far. Science does make a difference, especially at the high school level. As an example, if I carry a biology credential, I cannot teach chemistry, nor I cannot teach physics, right? It needs to be very specific in those areas. Math is very generic. As long as you have foundational skills, math credential, then you go at 9th up to 10th grade, and then you can move on to the next upper division classes. With the special education, we have numerous credentials, right? And they're all very specific to their own uniqueness. Mild to moderate is the most used, we'll say, as well as the mod to severe credentials. Those credentials are very unique in themselves. An example I could tell you, if I have an autistic student, I cannot have a mild to moderate teacher teach that student. It needs to be a mod to severe, as an example, right? Same thing with speech, same thing with this. So the specialized credentials in special education are very specific to its own unique and what they can provide the service to. Your designated credentials are more for your career technical education classes, as well as your adult classes and thus far, right? As you see there. And then lastly, you have the requirements. Your basic requirements, as you see, is your bachelor's degree, your CBEST. Now with the state coming out and saying, we are waiving the CBEST. However, you must have fulfilled the requirement by your course of study in your undergraduate courses, such as your math, your reading, your composition, your writing, your critical thinking. Those areas are the ones that are assessed in your CBEST, but that could be waived if I analyze your transcripts and ensure that you have a B or higher grade in those courses. Then you have the teaching credentials, right? You have the preliminary, which just gives you the same thing, the basics, what you need, your bachelor's degree, basic skills, which was the same thing as your CBEST. Your job, right? Once you have a job, then you are enrolled in a program, whether it's an intern program through a university or an induction program through a district or a county office of ed. As soon as I get a job, then I could get a preliminary credential, right? Then I'm given 5 years, as you see here, to clear my credential, right? And you clear the credential to those two different programs, so either through an intern program or an induction program. And voila, you have your certificate. I meant to mention, and I'm going to go back just a slide. This is an active link. So once we upload this, you could actually click on this and it'll take you directly to the CTC website. This is our priority when we hire teachers. Our main priority is to get fully credentialed teachers. That's the main priority. When we don't have that, then we go on to someone that has a preliminary credential. Means they have completed all of their subject areas, they have fulfilled all their requirements to become a teacher, and now they're ready to start teaching, right? So that is our main priority, how we hire teachers. The next priority will be an intern, someone that has fulfilled all the requirements, yet they don't have a credential, but they're in an internship program through a university. Thirdly, we look at short-term permits or staff permits, what we call. Those permits are if I have a multiple subject credential, as an example, and I want to teach at the secondary level, through the permission of the district, I'm able to teach, periodic, I'm in a short staff, means I'm able to teach for a semester or two during that time frame, right? And I could teach math, even though I might have a multi-subject teaching credential, or vice versa. I might have an English credential, but yet I could go down to a multi-subject and teach at the elementary level, for that short time. And that's what we call it, a short staff permit. Then we have the provisionary internship, right? These are individuals that have not quite met all the requirements, yet they're ready to start teaching. And there's also a waiver process. So that's a 1-year process as well. 1-year permit, I should say. And then thirdly, we have the waivers. These are individuals that do not have any type of credentials, no type of permits or any of the sort. They have met the requirements, which is their bachelor's degree, as well as fulfilling the basic skills or the CBEST, and definitely have clearance through CTC, your fingerprints, and thus far. There's multiple ways, and I like this little graphic here, right? Because there's what we say, there's more than one ways to skin a cat, right? So there's more than one ways to earn and start teaching, right? And these are the different waivers. We have what we call the high incident waivers, and then we also have the low incident occurrences or waivers. What is the difference on them? CTC conducts a study every 5 to 7 years and determines which is the most needed area in which the state needs those professionals. And then we also have the low incidents, which are the least, impacted. The top 5, as you see, right? Special education is very high at all points. We then have the clinical rehabilitation, speech pathologist, for example. That one caught my attention. Driver's education and training. Who has taken driver's ed lately? Oh, you take a driver's ed? That was 30 años atrás, 30 years back, right? Not recently. And then we have the 30-day substitute, right? So those are also of high need. The low need, as you see, I'm not going to mention all of them, but you could definitely read off the list. When we apply for waivers, with the high needed or incident areas, they require less documentation, less verification, because it's a high needed area, right? So it's a much expedite process to get a substitute into a waiver and a permit to start teaching. With a low incident, because that there's less need in that area, then there's more documentation in place. And that goes through the hiring process as well as through, not the hiring, I should say, the application process, right? And I'm the one, along with my HR department, and to get all those documents in place and then send that out to CTC. The waiver criteria, as you can see here, right? We do a lot of job fairs. I think that last year I participated maybe in about 7, if not 8 different job fairs. And we push out the different needs of the district in the different areas. And we actually, I'm talking to people online. Last year was all online. So I'm, chatting, talking to people, interacting with people, trying to, recruit them to come to our district. And we also do EdJoin, of course, Indeed, and also social media, whether it's through LinkedIn or whether it's Twitter, or whether it's through whatever social platforms that we use. Qualifications, as I mentioned before, right? And then the verify the assignment, make sure they're placed accurately, and also provide that constant support, right? And our academic coaches at each different site, at La Gloria, Fairview, as well as Gonzales High School, the academic coaches right now are working closely with your substitute teachers. So they are providing that support. This is just a graphic on once the application is submitted to CTC, what happens, right? So one of the things that could happen is that once they receive it, well, if they receive it after 90 days. So if I were, as for example, we have Danny here, and thank you, Danny. I'm going to use this as an example, right? So Danny came to my office on Friday, if I'm correct. We filled out the application. By Monday, he's in the door, right? It was a very expedite process. If he were to have submitted that same application through CTC, it'll take him 2 months before he gets into the classroom, right? And the reason for that is that as a district employee, or I should say representative, I am actually signing off. And I am saying, I am vouching for this individual that he has fulfilled all these requirements here. And because I'm vouching for him, he's ready to start. And that's the expedited process. He could have that same application and push it out through CTC, yet it'll take him anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks before they respond to him, right? So we're trying to bring that expedite process a lot faster with us. In addition to that, so if I don't do that with the 90 days that he starts, then his application gets denied immediately, right? With the 90 days, then we send it off, we mail it. They might deny it because there might be insufficient information that we need to provide additional information. Whatever it might be, they might review transcripts. They might say, well, he did not take the CBEST, yet he might need one more math class, or the grades in his English class were not at our expectation, right? So they could possibly make that denial at that point, and then they can give me 30 days or give the candidate 30 days to resubmit any other additional documentation. Once it's submitted a second time, it could either go through the denial process, or it could go through meets the eligibility and is granted the full 30-day substitute teaching permit for the year. The easier process, of course, is to try to ensure that I'm working with the candidate, ensuring that all the ducks, they're all in line. So when we push out these applications, they're not returned, right? We want to ensure, and that is part of my job. I need to ensure that they are well qualified, that they have met all the requirements. I review transcripts, and I ensure that all the documentation is sent out to CCC. And with Danny's example, I met with him for about an hour on Friday. Prior to that, I met with them a couple of times possibly, right? Just ensuring that the process happens. So as you can see, just with one substitute, I could spend up to 2+ hours. In addition to that, Sophia, our personal coordinator, could spend another hour or so completing the onboarding process. So just one individual is approximately 3 to 3.5 hours just for that one person. And we're just talking about a substitute teacher. It'll be a longer process if it is actually a certificated credentialed teacher. Just to give you an example, I pulled this information. This is our teachers right now. This is about a week or so, a little bit over a week that I generated this report based on our data system. Out of 100% of our teachers, 90+% are fully credentialed. So we have highly qualified teachers in our classrooms. So I'm very excited, very proud to actually present this information to you. With that in mind, a little bit under 6% are interns. There's our individuals, as I said, that they're in their programs at the university. And approximately less than 3%, which if I look at numerically, only 4 teachers that we have in this category now, which are on waivers. So we actually are in a great standing as far as certificated staffing. And yes, we had to put our mascots, right, to represent our district. So with that, I'm not sure if there's any questions from the board members or our superintendent.
Begin with. Carry on. Yeah. Oh, Andrew, sorry, Andrew. Oh, first. Any questions you have?
No question. Okay, Dr. Galicia, thank you for the presentation. I actually also reviewed the waiver handbook last night, and this presentation is shorter, so I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
I had a quick question. Is math and science still a high needs area? I didn't see that part on there.
It is part of the single subject, right? So if I go back here, for example.
It's on low incidence, but it used to
It
be
is.
high.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
it's
so
no
it's right
longer
here
there.
in this area, the single subject. So it is a low incident. And this is what CTC is considering.
The only one thing that I would have added as a highlight for GUSD is that we also pay for the induction program is that still the case? Am I wrong? Okay.
That is
For-
correct. Yes, yes. So when we have teachers that are coming in that are not fully credentialed, or let me rephrase that have their preliminary credential and they're moving into clearing their credential, they have an option of going through a university, as I said, right? Or they have an option of going through an induction program. We send out our teachers down to Riverside County Office of Ed, and Ashley Valdez works closely with those individuals. And yes, we fully fund it.
But I think the highlight is that there are some districts where you have to pay for your induction program to clear your credential, and the fact that we have that in there. I think
That is correct. It's approximately about $3,500 a year.
It's a lot, especially right when you're
Yes.
out of school.
Hector, I think you can also add to that, that this past year, we also supported teachers who aspired to obtain their bilingual credential.
Yes, so we have 2 teachers in the last year or so that fulfilled the requirements to acquire what we call a language acquisition authorization. Means that they're able to teach Spanish because they focus in Spanish, right? And that is where our dual language immersion program comes into play.
Great presentation. Thank you, Dr. Galicia.
Thank you. Sorry.
Hold on. Let's finish the board first. Esperas?
I just want to say thank you also.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Galicia, for your presentation.
Thank you, Board President. That is correct. Yes. So the CTC, the state actually, they're waiving the CBES at this point, right? However, you need to fulfill the competencies areas, your knowledge base, which is your reading, your composition, which is writing, critical thinking, as well as math. And that is based on your undergrad course of study. So when you come to my office, I look at your transcripts, I ensure what math courses you took and ensure that you have a B or higher, whether it's in math, composition, writing, critical thinking classes. Absolutely. Yes, Dan. Sorry I kept you that long, Danny. I appreciate it, Danny, very much. Thank you. And just as an FYI to the board members, as well as superintendent and the public here, every week for the past 4 weeks, we have conducted interviews for substitute teacher once a week. And out of those interviews, just today, I interviewed 5 individuals. Out of those 5 of them, I'm recommending for them to go through the process and get them into our system. So, we would definitely work it digitally. Sophia, Ramirez, personal coordinator, is digitally working, completing all the forms, as well as our office clerk, Joanna Cardenas, is definitely scheduling interviews, getting packets ready, getting connecting with the candidates, you name it. So we're a small department, but very dynamic, and I'm very pleased to have both of them in my team.
Thank you, Dr. Galicia, for your presentation. Much
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, well, moving on to item 13.2, business finance report, unaudited actuals fiscal year 2020, 2021. We have Yesenia and Dr. Drake with us this evening. Welcome.
Well, good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Irving, members of the Gonzales community. I'm going to take my mask off so you know it's really me. And so I can speak a little bit more clearly and you can hear me a little bit better. Here with me tonight, we have Ms. Yesenia Argueta, our Director of Fiscal Services. And as I've told you before, Yesenia is really, to me, the MVP of the district because I rely on her so much for her expert financial knowledge. We all rely on her for her expertise in terms of human resources. We all come to her with questions. We ask her all kinds of different things and she has answers for everything. And also the most important thing, she keeps an eye on me and makes sure I'm doing my job. So she really is a tremendous person. She does a tremendous job in fiscal services. And so I'm very grateful to have her, working with her every day and to have her here with us again tonight. Okay, we have our 2020-21 unaudited actuals report for you. And so we'll get to that right now. And so looking at our first slide, okay, what are the unaudited actuals? This is our financial report for the 2020-21 school year at the end of the year, June 30th. What are the actual revenues and expenditures? This has not been audited by our auditing firm, and so this is just our report, unofficial report to you, the board, and the public. And so we have tonight a review of revenue and expenditures, our budget and reporting schedule. We're going to talk about next steps and then take any questions that you might have. And next slide, please. So we have the financial summary of revenue and expenditures, as I said. As I mentioned, it's called unaudited because it has not been reviewed by the audit firm. It is required by state law and it will be adopted by the board, hopefully, at our meeting here tonight. And I'll be asking you to do that a little bit later under action items. And so once adopted, it will be provided to the county superintendent and the county office of education to be forwarded to the state. And so here we go. This is our first informational slide. And so we have our unaudited actual total revenues, and you can see here that is broken down into our different revenue sources, our LCFF, our state apportionments. And so we came in just a little bit higher than we expected. You can see about 27 million as compared to 25.8 million. And so the state was a little bit more generous than we expected, which is nice. Our federal revenues are coming in a little bit lower than expected. Of course, a lot of these federal revenues are the COVID funds we've been receiving. And the reason for this is because a lot of our federal COVID funds are based on our expenditures. So we spend the money to buy things or to perform certain services, and then we get reimbursed. And so we are still in the process of expending some of these funds. And so we do expect to be reimbursed for this as time goes by. We also have other state revenues, which have come in just a little bit higher, and other local revenues, which have come in just about where we expect, is a little bit higher as well. So adding these all together, a total revenues of 37,559, coming in just a little bit higher than we'd expected, about 1% greater. So we're right on target. And next slide, please. Okay, now looking at our general fund, our unrestricted expenditures. Now, normally red numbers are bad, but when you look at this slide, red numbers are good. As you can see, looking at certificated salaries, about 9.227 million, that's higher than we had expected, which is not good. But looking at our other sources here, you'll see in terms of classified salaries, employee benefits, books and supplies, services and other operating expenditures, capital outlay, transfers of indirect costs, you'll see that these all came in lower than expected. And again, lower is in red, and so red is good. Moving along to our next slide. These are our restricted expenditures, our COVID funds, federal title funds, that type of thing. Now here again, red is good. And you'll see that our salaries, benefits, books and supplies, services, capital outlay, all came in less than we had expected. And then moving on to our next slide, we have our unrestricted ending fund balance. The numbers, for some reason here, are a little bit, hope it doesn't give you a headache looking at this. The actual slide that we had sent over electronically has everything lined up in nice rows and columns, but for some reason didn't come out quite so neatly for this presentation. Fund balance comes out right on the numbers. You'll see we have a variance of $1, which is due to rounding. So the fund balance is right on target. You'll see that our adjustments or ending balance also came in higher than expected, about 13 million. We have various components of that fund balance, revolving cash at 5,000. We have prepaid expenditures, which includes contributions that we've had to make. There was an early retirement incentive a couple of years ago. And so these are the payments that we've made toward that retirement incentive that was financed by a particular source. We have our reserve at about 1 million and assigned about 9.8 million, which is what we intend to spend in the coming months. And now moving to the unaudited actuals restricted ending fund balance. Again, the fund balance at 0 variance, we're right on target here. Looking at our ending balance, you'll see that we have, again, a higher ending balance than expected. The district's in a good financial position, which is great news to be able to report. And so for the summary, you'll see that salaries and benefits are lower than projected. Overall, we spent less than we had expected to. And again, this is because we had some open positions that we did not fill, we're not able to hire for. And so consequently, benefits are also lower because of that. Books and supplies are lower, again, because we were not here for most of last school year. And so we didn't spend as much on books and supplies. The kids are in distance learning, so we didn't need as much materials. And so that's why we were able to save some money in this category. Contracted services, again, were lower than projected because, again, school was not here in session most of the year last year. And so we had fewer expenditures in this category as well. And so we ended 2021 with a net fund balance of about 6.8 million. And this is about 3.958 million higher than our estimated actuals back in June. Now, this may seem like great news that we have plenty of money, and it is, but we want to caution you because last year was a very unusual year. School was not here in session for almost the entire year, so our costs were lower in large part because of that. As I said, lower salaries, lower benefits, lower contracted services, lower repairs on buildings, lower maintenance costs. And so all those things were good. But we don't want to give a false picture of what's really happening here. Because even though those costs were lower, we have to remember that now once this COVID money runs out, we're going to be going back to our regular revenue sources. Now that kids are back here on campus, we're going to have our normal levels of expenses and expenditures. And so books and supplies costs are going to go up. As people have said, now that we're adding positions, we're adding salaries, adding benefits, adding maintenance costs, adding contracted services costs, transportation, all these things are increasing. So we need to be careful with our expenditures. Even though it might seem like we have plenty of money right now, and as I said, we do for the moment, we need to be careful because this is one-time money. It's not going to last forever. And so we need to watch our expenditures, be careful with our resources, and try to maintain a conservative fiscal approach.
James, can I also add that on the restricted balances that you see there, that money is already also allocated per the direction of CDE. So those are monies that will be supporting GPA 4.0, the afternoon hub at GHS, and a second year of a robust summer school in summer of 2022.
Thank you.
And so this is our budget calendar for the upcoming year. We're giving you the unaudited actuals report tonight, and this is due tomorrow, September 15th, to the county. And so we're hoping you'll approve this a little bit later on the action items. And then we will be presenting our actual full audit in January or February of 22. I'm sorry, if we could go back just for a moment. Okay. We'll be giving our first interim report as we adjust the budget in December. We are adjusting the budget, I should say, continuously, but we'll be giving our first interim report on those budget adjustments in December. And then the second interim report, as we continue to monitor the budget, again, make adjustments, and we'll be giving that to you in March of 22. And so again, next year, the budget cycle repeats itself. We go through the LCAP and LCFF process again. And so we'll be compiling our budget, presenting that to you again in the spring and May and June of next year. Okay, now we can go forward. So our next steps, we're preparing for our audit review, preparing our first interim, for the first interim budget report in December, and working on those things over the next couple of months. So are there any questions?
So Andrew, do you have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Ayala.
And I'm going to ask Yesenia to join me at the podium here because she's been shy so far. But I want to give her a chance to speak as well because she is very knowledgeable.
Great. Yeah, on page 4, federal revenues, I think you mentioned that the reason there's a 24% decrease is because we haven't expended those revenues yet. Are we planning to expend all of them or most of them?
So we do have a cycle. So I think the next reporting period is coming up. So once we report, then they'll determine our depending on how much we spent, then they'll give us our revenues from that.
And just the last question, for the page 6, the total revenues decreased by 3.6 million. I think you said large part of it was because the school was not in session. But as far as the books go, wouldn't kids still need to have the books, to have books? Because I think they came in to get books and pick up books from the school. So I'm just curious as to the dramatic decrease in book cost.
Well, I think what really contributed to that was for the past year, while we were in distance learning, kids were basically using electronic resources. They were using their Chromebooks, they were doing online lessons and online activities. And so they weren't using the physical textbooks while they were at home. And so we didn't have to buy supplies and materials for the classroom. No, they normally used to do projects, make things, build things. And the actual physical books were here. And so we didn't actually have to buy and replace books last year because they were using those electronic resources.
Thank you.
And my only question was regarding with the salaries. I noticed because of the decrease, because of the open positions, but that does take into account the substitutes that we have to cover the cost for that as well. Once we hire the positions needed for those, do we see that going even lower or staying the same, maintaining that deficit that we have there for the salaries and benefits?
So once we fill them, you'll see it for this fiscal year.
Okay,
So they're probably going to go up.
thank you.
Ms. Flores?
So, and Yvette may have answered this, but for the programs, for the COVID funds that are spent for programs to make up for learning loss, are there current programs right now taking place to assist with the learning loss? Besides the ones, the GPA 4.0 and hubs and the summer school?
So those are the primary ones, but we are also looking at additional interventions.
Will we see those come through the board when those happen?
Yes.
Just so, okay.
Thank you. Actually had a similar question to Celeste, so thank you for asking that, Celeste. And thank you guys for always making sure that we understand your presentations, because personally, I have a hard time with the budget, and you guys just make it very easy for me to really process and understand. So thank you guys for that.
Dr. Drake and Yesenia, thank you again for your leadership in our business department here at the district. It's essential for us to be able to, be financially healthy moving forward, because without a financial health for our district, it's difficult to provide quality education to our young people. With that said, I have no additional questions, but thank you for your presentation. We're going to go ahead moving on to items number 13.3, the 2021-2022 superintendent's goal setting. So going to take off.
So as per my contract and as per the board request at our last meeting, we wanted to start the superintendent's evaluation process. Typically, the board, it establishes the vision and the direction for the district to go, and the superintendent's goals are aligned with that, and then subsequently leadership team goals are aligned with that. Past goals have included reducing the deficit spending in the district, implementing a dual language immersion program, passing a bond for a new school, exiting differentiated assistance, establishing bilingual administrative teams at each site, implementing a stronger focus on mental health that resulted in our LCSW hires, and closing a continuation school. I have attached the LCAP for the district, as well as WASC, which remains a high priority item for the board. As the board is also aware, the district will be participating in the redistricting process this year, and looking at the expansion of our district, beginning with the Fano Academy, and then potentially an additional 2 schools, which I'm going to be commenting on in my superintendent's report.
Thank you. And just to further up, I know, speaking with Terry from CSBA, who has led us in this, in previous workshops in regards to our vision and mission and goal setting, we have established that on October 2nd, 2021 is going to be a full day of study for the board here at the library. So all of you are welcome to attend. That's October 2nd, 2021. We're going to begin at 8 a.m. in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're going to cover three areas during that full day of training or workshop for the board. We're going to be touched on what board members have asked us to go back and and revise or not revise, but, touch base, revisit, which is a governance handbook. That's going to be an area we're going to go back to revisit. The other area is going to be also the goal setting of the board that align with the LCAP goals as well. Uh, and our superintendent's going to help us in that area as well. And then the third part of that will be also seeing what we as a governance team are lacking, and we need additional training, resources, or whatever it is that we as a governance team need to be able to better do our job. So those are the three kind of areas that we're going to be covering during this October 2nd, 2021 workshop here at the district. So all of you are welcome to attend. And we're going to be led by Terry, what's her last name? Vigil, who's who's employed by CSBA, and she has led us before in different trainings here in the district. So any questions, board members, or?
No, I think it's just to really, it's really important that if parents attend the October 2nd meeting, because part of the goal setting for the superintendent is addressing the WASC. And I'll sit here and say, I don't think we talk about WASC enough. But WASC is really crucial to students who are attending high school. And it's an area that we really, when superintendent says that's a priority, it really is a priority above everything else at this point. Because WASC is something that we have been going through, and we're on probation. And I don't know if parents or people in the community really understand what that means and what happens if we don't pass our WASC. I don't really understand. I don't really think people understand that if we don't pass WASC, you can say goodbye to sports and everything else that the district, the high school may have to offer for students. And so I really think parents should attend this to the best of their ability, because you really need to understand what WASC is and what we're at risk of with WASC, and making sure that we're doing everything we need to do. And I know that Yvette and her team are working hard on making sure that we're meeting all the criteria that WASC kind of dinged us on for the past, I don't know how many years, Yvette, but very important. Hopefully we can get some community members to attend so they can at least be a part of that conversation.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Is there any other board comments?
Yes. Andrew, yeah. I'm sorry. All right. So the WASP report is attached here. I was under the impression that we actually would be talking something about this rather than just putting the documents up. Are we going to do that?
About the LCAP and WASC?
Yeah. And goal setting in general. Because normally we give the comments at the end, right? So we get the comments and then we go to the next agenda item.
It's informational, so I think it's that we can have the conversation, but the goal setting, I think, is going to happen on the October 2nd.
Right, but so you brought up WASP, so
Yeah.
I think it would be good for the public to know exactly what is WASP going to look for when they're here in January. Can we go over that?
So there has been conversation in our board meetings, as well as all information is posted. So the WASC is an accreditation process which allows high schools and districts to award an accredited diploma. What that allows our students to do is to apply for financial aid, such as the comment about FAFSA. It allows them to apply to university, four-year universities. It also, and board member Flores alluded to it, allows them to participate in competitive sports against other accredited high schools. The WASC visiting committee in 2019 indicated that there were several areas that the high school had not taken action on. When a WASC team visits, they leave a set of recommendations. And in fact, the WASC committee reports that are posted on our website beginning in the 1990s gave direction to the high school of areas that they needed to focus on. And in 2019, the visiting committee decided that we had had enough time to attempt to do that and put our high school on probationary status. The high school, in the 2 years' time since that visiting committee report, has participated in activities to help address and resolve the recommendations made. WASC is not looking for the high school to have achieved success with every recommendation. They are looking for progress, and where there is not progress, an articulated plan of next steps.
Can we discuss the actual recommendations so that the public knows about them?
So the public can access the document not only on the board agenda this evening, but it can also access all the documents, the previous reports on the website. The recommendations have been chunked out. They've been divided by the instructional council at the high school. Last year, there was a focus on 4 of them, and this year, we will be addressing a couple of others. They basically relate to, let me pull it up on my computer. So they're called, it's critical areas of follow-up. And so there is needed attention to our math scores. And when the results of standardized testing come out, the board will actually see that there has been some growth. We will be able to demonstrate that there has been some growth in our math scores at the high school. It's the development of a teacher leadership team, and Principal Soriano has been using our instructional council as a leadership team. Our instructional council members are delineated in our GTA contract, and they are voted upon by their peers. There is a need to rewrite the school-wide learning outcomes, referred to SLOs. And we are bringing in a facilitator for our Staff Professional Development Day in October to address that. There is a recommendation for increased academic supports. The school has been providing that via the implementation of GPA 4.0, the hubs, as well as a revamped summer school. And you saw the data outcomes provided by our teacher lead, Sita Ayala. In addition, the overall rigor of our school needs to increase and improve. And that's represented in AP classes, our ongoing dual enrollment partnership with Hartnell College. It talks about student engagement and student engagement in the classroom. There are examples included in the report that refer to something as simple as the fact that our students need to understand that cell phones should not be out during instructional time unless they are being used in the instructional activity, as well as engagement as demonstrated by understanding why they're taking a class and what it will result in the future for them. And lastly, limiting the amount of teaching strategies that the district was supporting professional development in. When I arrived in Gonzales, there was feedback from both our union as well as individual teachers that we tended to do things an inch deep and a mile wide. And what they had asked for was that there be priority professional developments identified, and that we went deeper in the work with each of those. And this past year, the board has heard that the area of focus has been our English language learners, the social emotional health of our students. And this year we began with the discussion around grading, equitable grading practices. Thank you.
Okay. If there's no any other questions, we can move on to item 14, communications. Welcome, Gonzales GTA. Oh.
So I think the board has that public comment for reference. I believe that was sent via email, Ms. Mancera. So that was a comment that was meant to be attached to this discussion. We can bring that back on the 2nd, so the board has that for reference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 13.4, 13.3. Arely Bancera.
Thank you. So moving on to communications, 14.1, GTA.
Ms. Ayala's here. You.
It's me.
I'm still celebrating that data.
I am too. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Irving. GTA is very happy to announce that we have wrapped up the independent studies MOU discussions with the district. We will bring it to our members for ratification this week, and hopefully we will be moving on to our safety MOU very soon. GTA is going to be hosting a back to school social for our own members. This is something that we have not done before. We usually wait for our socials later on in the year, but with new members and just after the whole pandemic, we really think it's important to really re-engage with each other. We have been working collaboratively with our district on any safety issues that have arisen. We did Ashley and I both met with Yvette, our Superintendent Irving, this past week. And I believe she did respond today to our teachers' emails. I know it had said that the response wasn't there, but I believe it did. She did go over everything. So we are looking forward to the district holding, MOT accountable and ensuring the safety of our classrooms and the cleaning of our classrooms as we go forward. The lack of subs continue to be an issue. Teachers are working on their preps, classes are being split, TOSAs and counselors are also being pulled into the classroom to help set. But we do understand that the district is aware of this issue, and it's another issue that we have brought to their attention, and they are working to resolve that issue and to find a solution. And that is it. That is my report. Thank you.
For your report, Ms. Sita. Any comments, any questions, board? All right, moving on to 14.2. CSEA, do we have a rep?
We do.
Hello, Ms. Sonia.
Everybody, I'm not that nervous like the other day. I just a little bit, but good night, board members of Gonzales Unified. Or good evening. I don't even know what time is it, but
Sonia, you need to talk into the mic.
sorry.
We've got people on Zoom.
Okay. Good night, everybody. And once again, my name is Sonia Vallejo, and I'm the CSEA president. And this month, I will be working with my members to add people to my board. And we will hopefully hold nominations and elections soon. I'm still needing a vice president, but we're working on it. And I look forward to my first meeting with the superintendent on Friday. And I will be happy so we can do that collaboration between CSEA and the district. And I also look forward to hear from you guys, the Gonzales US board members, to work with you guys too in your monthly meetings. So just let me know, email me, whatever. I will be happy to join you guys.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to number 14.3, student board members. Hello? Andrew. Oh, you're gonna go?
He's got homework.
Oh, okay. Do we have anybody else online? Okay, moving on to number 14.4, Gonzales Youth Council, Youth Commissioners. Are the youth commissioners online? Almost there. We're almost there.
See, I'm sorry?
youth commissioners are either, who do we? Is it, Sherlyn? Sherlyn is one, right?
I don't see them on there.
All right. So moving on to La Gloria Elementary School District. Yeah. Welcome.
Is the timer ready?
Ready for you.
I know I have 90 seconds, so I'm gonna be
And
Speedy
speak into
Gonzalez.
the mic.
Yes, please.
Testing, can you hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Are we good? Awesome. Good evening, board members, superintendent, and community members. Assistant principal from La Gloria here, Diana Dietrich. Am I mumbled? Can you hear me clearly? Okay, cool.
Maybe can you, is it?
Okay, I will. Okay, better?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we can start off with this past Monday. We had Echo Hero, a virtual assembly, and it was well attended by most of our teachers, most of our students. We also had this past Saturday, GPA 4.0 Academy. It was also a good start, and we're going to continue recruiting efforts. And a big kudos to Miss Michelle Rodriguez for all of her efforts. We also have some new members to our La Gloria family. We have a new TK teacher, or sorry, a new kindergarten teacher, Miss Nefi Fernandez. We're very happy that she started off with our kiddos this Monday. And Miss Estrella Caballero is going to be teaching 5th grade tomorrow. So we are very excited. I think that fills all of our teaching positions. And we also welcome Miss Gemma Delgadillo, our new psychologist, to La Gloria. And we are working on hiring an academic coach. We're going to hold interviews this Thursday. And we are going to be moving on to hiring 2 noon duty supervisors as well. We currently have substitutes filling those positions, and we're going to permanently fill the positions. That's our goal. We had a combo class, a 2nd, 3rd grade combo classroom that we dismantled. So it's now a straight 2nd grade classroom. And what else? Oh, at the beginning of the month, September 3rd, we had our very first Spirit Day, purple and gold. And the winner is, nobody knows except for the winning class, and I'm going to announce it here. The winning class is Miss Fausto's 2nd grade dual immersion classroom. They
Wow.
had the most purple and gold dress ups, and I'm a little low tech today, so I'm going to go ahead and share in a moment. I'm going to share the winning picture of Miss new purple and gold Spirit Award, and we also translated it.
Diana?
It's called
You can show it to the.
You can show it to the camera. You can show it to the camera in front of you. The one that's focused on.
It's
you.
right there.
You've been on the screen the whole time.
Okay.
There you
so
go.
here
Little
we
closer.
go. Can you
Closer?
see it? Little closer.
There it
There
is.
you go.
There we go. The moment of the award handing off to Miss Fausto's Salón de Doble Inmersión. Our 2nd graders had the highest ranking, and we're very proud.
Awesome.
Okay, so any questions? for
Thank you
Gloria?
so much. You have a Cesar? You have- no.
Yes, I have a question. So you said you dismantled one combo class. I think that's fantastic. Do we have any other combo classes at La Gloria?
Yes, the remaining combo class is a 4th, 5th grade classroom.
4th and 5th?
Yes.
Are we looking at dismantling that as well?
Due to enrollment at the moment, no.
So what's the combined enrollment right now for that class? Oh, around, I know you don't. probably don't
Yeah,
have it.
that classroom does have the majority of 5th graders, and I believe it's, I want to say 24 5th graders, and then the remaining makeup to make, I think it's close to 32. The remaining students would be 4th graders.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And the average class around
Upper grades, 32
32?
average.
Okay. Now, if for some reason more kids join us, would, sufficient kids join us to break that up, would that happen? Would that
So
class be broken up?
if I can interject, we are guided in terms of reorg by the GTA contract. All reorganizations needed to occur before September 9th. We had multiple combo classes, at La Gloria because of the uneven enrollment numbers. And so ultimately, we came down, we reduced it to 1, but it is unlikely to change. That would start a process, a conversation with the union, which would result in a side letter or MOU, and we find that unlikely at this time.
So that's only one combo class of 4th and 5th. So there are other 4th grade classes that are not combo classes, correct?
Exactly.
And there's
yeah.
other 5th grade classes that are not.
Yeah, 4
combo
and 4.
classes.
4 fourth grade straight, and then 4 fifth grade straight, and then plus that combo class.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, from having to sub at La Gloria, I know how difficult handling combo classes are, and I feel a little bit bad for those kids and that teacher as well. But that's what we can do. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other board questions? No? Thank you so much. And thank you for walking me through the other day on campus. It was fun. It was a lot. I learned a lot and it was great to see the kids. So thank you. Moving on to Fairview Middle School report. Mr. Lagon is here.
Buenas noches. Good night, everyone. Superintendent Irvin, our members, familias at home. Good night. My name is Miguel Malagon, and I'm here to give you the report on Fairview Middle School. Overall, things are going well at Fairview Middle School. We had our William visitation, and it went really well. We were happy to have a positive outcome of that. I'd like to let you know, as Superintendent Ever mentioned, we are focusing in social and emotional learning. So Fairview Middle School is going to be working with Harmony Home, specifically on the Stick and Stone program, just to bring another resource for our students in social and emotional field. We would like to let you know that we hire a PE teacher. So we welcome Clarissa Cortez to our Fairview family. She will be starting with us tomorrow. And we're still in the process we identify a viable candidate for math. We are in the process of hiring that person, and an RSP is still posted. We're still looking for an RSP teacher. This week we have interns from UC Santa Cruz that are visiting one of our classrooms in Fairview Middle School. These are future teachers for math classes, so we are helping them out with the process. We have cafecito today, and I'd like to let you know that it was a successful one. Even though we had very few parents, but we had parents in person, and we also had parents online. So it was interesting, but it was successful as well. Our sports have begun. We have boys soccer practicing every single day, hard, getting ready for the first game. And we also have girls volleyball that are practicing already. So don't forget about us. We also have sports. Our 4.0 Academy we also started this Saturday, and I'd like to give shout outs to Kathy Rodriguez because she is piloting, she's the lead for the program, and we will continue growing our numbers. We have somewhere to do in that area. And finally, our back to school night was also successful. Parents were pretty happy to be in our campus, and it was nice to see our community back in our campus. And that's what I have for Fairview Middle School. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ayun, you have a comment?
Yes, thank you for your presentation, Mr. Malagon. How many teacher vacancies do we have at Fairview currently?
At this point, if we're able to hire the math teacher that we identify, it will be just the RSP, one.
So one. That's great news.
I'm sorry?
That's very good news. Thank you. What is what's the enrollment at Fairview? I know in the past it's been, I think, I guess I'm guessing, but I think around 600 or 700 in the past.
In the past, that's when we had another grade.
Yeah,
Right
that
now it's
has
about 458.
that has declined because now fifth grade is in La Gloria too.
So 458 out of four grades?
No, three grades.
Three grades.
Six,
Three grades.
6, 7, and 8.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Very good. I do know one last thing, and I think that's gonna happen over summer coming up, but I do know with the cameras, there's dead spots all over, right? Is that something that we wanna
We are, yes.
Yes,
addressing or going to address or?
Yes, we are addressing, and as I had said in my previous board report at the last meeting under projects, the district is at the whim of suppliers. And the contracts that we've awarded, they are having a difficult time getting the supplies and materials they need to do Fairview, to do the district office and the farm and the stadium.
Okay. Yeah, and thank you.
you're welcome.
I just had one thing. If you can forward, I would love if you would forward us the schedules for sport, because
Yes, we just had the coaches meeting and we are working on on finalizing the schedules for the games.
for
And
all your coaches for. the
we're
fall.
still looking for volleyball. So if you guys know anybody out there that would like to coach volleyball, please send that person my way. I'd be happy to talk to them.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yes. All right, moving on to Gonzales High School report.
Mr. Soriano and Mr. Ocampo are here.
Good evening, Board Trustees, Superintendent Irving, George Soriano, and Principal Gonzalez. We got just a few things going on at Gonzales High School. We just started our Saturday 4.0 the past Saturday. We have about 2 sections. We're hoping to increase those. We're looking at 11th and 12th graders who are credit deficient. So these Saturdays will go on for about 10, 11 Saturdays, okay? Consecutive Saturdays. We've also started our after school program. We have 2 teachers and Gear Up who are offering their services after school for 1 hour. And I have another 2 teachers who are willing to provide that service as tutorial sessions for our students as well, okay? We've begun starting to plan our college and career readiness. We are partnering up with our partners, DCAC, ETS, Gear Up. We're going to be planning and throughout our calendarizing throughout the year, our financial aids, our workshops, our parent information, conferences and so forth. Okay. And a lot's been happening in sports. Our girls tennis team is undefeated right now, knock on wood. Our volleyball varsity is undefeated, knock on wood. Our cross country runners participated in the Farmers Invitational up in Hayward. 2 of our scholar athletes medaled, and our team took 6 out of 18th. So I just want to really congratulate our coaches out there. I've seen a lot of good sportsmanship. I've seen a lot of our kids playing hard. Our varsity team, football team has lost some close ones, but those are learning experiences. And hope to see you all out there this Friday. We're playing King City, and it's like for this megaphone that's outside my office that has all these years in Victor. So the rallying chant on Friday will be the megaphone stays home. Okay, so that's where we are right now. And just real briefly, we have 3 vacancies that we are trying to fill out as well. We have 1 more sped position. We have a physics, I believe a physics, Mr. Ocampo, a physics, and environmental science, who we just interviewed today, and hopefully she'll accept. Okay, and also two IAs that we interviewed today, and we'll be bringing those up to HR to submit that. These are our candidates. I mean, these are our people we want. Okay.
Thank you so much. For any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Soriano. I do know that there was class balancing,
Yes.
right? Has that completed? Well, what's the status on that?
We are done with master scheduling. We're balancing the classes. We're done with that. We completed that on Friday. We had a couple of minor adjustments, unbeknownst to me on Monday, but we did those. So we should not be moving masses of students around. Okay, so that's complete.
That's very good news for the kids and the teachers.
Yes, yes. I've been talking to a lot of parents. A lot of them are unaware of the ed code law with teachers. So I explain it to them, and 90% of them understand, and the other 10%, well, you know how that goes with students, right? Tell them, hey, you got great teachers. We're all good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
I had a question.
Yep.
How many Apex courses do we have currently?
Apex courses, we are offering 5 periods of Apex. And
Are any of them offered?
we have a long-term sub then right now that is being trained to work with our students. We'd had somebody in that position. Things didn't plan out right so far. So we went out to get a long-term sub to train this person how to do the Apex. And it's not easy as it is to roster those students, but I believe, Mr. Campo, I think we got the majority of them all rostering it, and so they're making up credits.
Are there any sections of Apex offered for Saturday at 4.0 GPA?
At this time, no. At this time, we just got off the ground and just had like I was here last Saturday, was the admin in charge, and we had roughly about two and a half classes. So word's out, we're looking for teachers who want to come out and help out on Saturday. And right now the emphasis is pushing our 11th and 12th graders and to get credit deficiencies made up.
And thank you for acknowledging our coaches that, coaches do a lot of go above and beyond the stipend that doesn't cover. And I think I shared even with Superintendent Irving, we have a lot of veteran coaches who have
Yes.
grown up here and give back and continue
Yeah.
to give back. So acknowledging them, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Flores?
No, thank you.
Ms. Cuevas?
Thank you, Chair, for everything, and thank you for that walkthrough today.
Short, quick walkthrough, yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, groups.
Go ahead, moving on to 14.8, Superintendent's Report.
So I will attempt to be brief because I know we have our action and consent agenda ahead of us. As Monica pulls up the PowerPoint, I'm actually beginning with a slide related to use of facilities. And the reason for that is at our last board meeting, we had public comment from the Gonzales Knights talking about the fees that are attached to the utilization of the stadium. The district, and I need to acknowledge Mr. Avila because he brought this to my attention. I didn't realize that the slide existed. On our website, you will see that there is a Gonzales Unified School District fees for use of facilities. And it in fact was drafted in 2012. It will be updated shortly by Dr. Drake. But what it entails is that the district itself does not charge for using our facilities. What we do is to bill for the expenses related to the cleaning and sanitization, as well as any materials that may be used by outside nonprofit agencies. This slide narrows it down by category to stadium, main gym, et cetera. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But as we continue, what is also rarely talked about and is listed on that slide are the direct costs. And so to the left-hand side, you'll see that there is a list of facilities that the district does charge what are referred to as direct costs for. On the right-hand side, you'll see an example of what those direct costs are. So the largest one by far is related to labor because Gonzales Unified has a live contract with CSEA employees, classified staff. That contract, as well as the education code, prohibits the district from allowing volunteers to do what we have actual employees to do. And so we have 12 MOT employees that are eligible to do the work that is needed to clean and sanitize and prepare the facilities you see listed above for a return of students and staff on any given Monday. Another example of direct costs are materials and supplies. So when we're talking about football and we're talking about the Knights, as we were last week, that could entail water-based paint. It could entail chalk for marking the field. Those materials, depending on what they are being used for, can also be donated. But once donated, they have to also comply with all of the guidelines from the state of California. And those guidelines are relatively rigid when we're talking about a public school setting. And the last one that I've listed up above are also utilities, because one of the additional costs that you will see on the previous slide also specifies that there's an additional cost for lights, because our stadium lights, if in fact it is a nighttime event, cost us money. We do not cover the cost completely with our solar panels. As Monica's transitioning, I also want to touch base this evening on cleaning and sanitization. If we go ahead, one of the things that I think the community and the staff, we've not communicated enough, is that the standard of cleaning and sanitization that we had during COVID, when we were in an actual shelter in place, or when we were on limited attendance here at the public school site, was much more stringent than where we are now. The slide that you see in front of you is actually a slide provided by the CDE. And if you look to the far right, you'll see what the top priorities are for a district in terms of preventing the transmission of COVID. And it is less vested in what people perceive to be the cleaning and sanitization process, and more vested in the masking element, the vaccination element, ventilation, hand hygiene, and our our testing and contact tracing. Last night, after a meeting with the City Planning Commission, I actually went to La Gloria Elementary with our Director of MOT, Trini Zafala, on what was a surprise visit to our custodians. And as you go to the next slide, and Monica can just kind of go through them as I'm talking, one of the things that we found out, I got to follow the process of the custodians as they are cleaning our schools in the evening. And so there is a process where they pick up the trash, they do vacuuming, they also go back and do sanitization, a round of sanitization. They wet mop our linoleum floors. You'll see pictures of both handheld foggers as well as the backpack foggers. What is different, and in response to one of the comments that I heard, we will not fog with children present. This is an after-school activity. The custodians themselves had stated that there have been 3 issues recently that have impacted our ability to clean the entire site. One is that classified staff is experiencing the same sub shortage that our certificated staff is. The second is, in our district, our custodians are also our bus drivers. And so the cleaning schedule is predicated on our custodians getting back from the bus routes by 5:30. And if there is a situation on the route, such as 101 being backed up, or if there is a student issue that can impact their ability to get back by 5:30. The other thing that they are very cautious about is that our teachers are very dedicated, as we've discussed. We have teachers that are in their classroom up till 9 o'clock at night. A custodian won't enter the classroom if a teacher's there. And so that means that if we have 1 or 2 teachers, the custodian has to circle back around at the end of the routine to enter those classrooms. My understanding is that pre-COVID, there had been an agreement at the site that teachers would be out of their classrooms by 7 p.m., enabling our custodial staff to go ahead and clean. So that is something that I have asked for the site themselves to revisit. Our custodial staff is conscientious. We have 3 night custodians at La Gloria. We have 2 full-time custodians during the day, as well as 2 floaters that help to return and address emergency situations. But it is constantly a work in progress. And as the public comment had stated, We do have situations that teachers have brought to our attention. Administration at La Gloria is responding to that. MOT is responding to that. And I myself intervened when I was contacted by our teaching staff. And lastly, this evening, since it now is public knowledge, if we can go on to the next slide, I had committed to the board that I would continue to provide updates on our new school, the Fano Academy, the Academia Fanoe. What I am pleased to report is that the district is also in contact with representatives from the Jackson Family Winery and the Rionda family to look at 2 additional new school sites, which potentially would come if the city of Gonzales is successful in its annexation of land. Last night, Board President Lopez and myself attended a joint meeting between the Gonzales City Council and the Planning Commission. And it appears that this is moving forward in conjunction with the Vista Lucia development. The city is actually establishing a timeline, but it appears that based on the number of meetings that will need to occur, this project, the entire project, will be going before LAFCO, the Board of Supervisors, by at the latest mid-year of summer of 2022. So this means that GUSD will be looking at potentially 3 new schools in starting construction in a period of 5 years. One of the statistics that we are focused on is contained in our GUSD facilities management plan. That is an estimated number of students that we would grow by if in fact the developments are successful and the annexation is successful. This is a major project for the district. The board also has received 3 architectural proposals for the Fano property. We received 5 when we put out our request for proposals, and using a rubric that has been forwarded to the board, Business Services, MOT, and the Superintendent's Office narrowed it down to 3. And we're providing it to the board now because we will be coming back at our, I believe it's our November 9th board meeting, to ask the board for a decision in which architect we'll move forward with. So the public is aware there is no school design as of yet. The board will not receive a selection of potential designs for the school until in fact it has identified the architectural firm. And that should conclude my superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you. Cesar, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. So I actually requested from both you and Jose to have an agenda item on the night specifically so that we can discuss it. And, you know, just from the last board meeting where we had probably the biggest attendance that I've seen since I've been on the board here, and it was due to the nights. So I definitely understand about direct costs, but my issue, and since you guys didn't give me the opportunity to have this as an agenda item, I'm just gonna bring it up now. My issue is that some of the direct costs that the nights are being billed for were never done before. As an example, the field wasn't restriped, repainted, and the lawn mowed because that had to be done anyway for the game, for the football game, the actual football game at the high school, right? So I think part of the frustration in the public, and quite honestly, myself as well, is that why are they getting billed for something that never happened before, but it is only happening now? You know, so the perception of the public is that we're being a little bit petty because we're talking about big numbers here. Mr. James Drake, you know, gave the presentation
$37 million, I understand. Part of that money can't be used for certain things. I know that, I understand. But $37 million is a lot. It's a lot, right? And when we go after the Knights, which we,
Go after,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm still speaking. When we present the Knights, I'll rephrase, when we present the Knights with a big old bill that they've never received ever before, it's not a good look for us. It really is not.
So will you
Um,
allow me to respond thus far?
Yeah, and again, I wish this was an agenda item so we could actually properly do, but Jose, Ms. Irving, they have, they decide
So
what goes on the
Board
agenda item.
Member, Board Member Ayon, I think there needs to be a clarification. The board does not govern the Gonzales Knights. The Gonzales Knights are not under the jurisdiction of the Gonzales Board of Education. The Gonzales Knights made a public comment regarding the quote that I sent them. In fact, you have made comments this evening that are incorrect. There have been communication with the Knights. I have forwarded information to the board from 2019. And in fact, there is a very similar communication listing the same items that we are talking about. You also, in your comments, have not differentiated between pre-COVID and current COVID. We cannot allow others to clean and sanitize our stadium. I presented the board as backup with almost $200,000 in fees we have collected over 5 years from other nonprofits within the community. The board saw a document with 176 entries. So while it may have felt to the Knights, and as I've come to understand, it's a new leadership team, that this was something they hadn't experienced before. We are also returning after more than a 20-month period where we weren't here. I was in contact again with the Knights. There are 2 dates that back up to our actual Spartan football games. Our Spartan football games occur on a Saturday. The Knights game, 2 of them out of the 3 will occur on the subsequent Sunday. We have removed the charges for that. We will incur the cost because it is specifically, it's imperative that we clean and sanitize by virtue of having our MOT staff clean after our game on a Saturday evening. And I am utilizing MOT staff Monday morning on our time to follow up. But it is my responsibility to make sure that the board itself cannot be accused of gifting of public funds, because you cannot cover the costs of a nonprofit not affiliated with our district. I am making sure that we are not violating a contractual agreement that we have with our classified staff. We value the Knights as well as every other nonprofit, but we did not bill them for anything above or beyond what we have asked for before and what we've asked of others.
That was a lot. So I appreciate that. Why couldn't this have been said at the last board meeting?
Because I am not allowed to respond to public comment, nor are you.
So, and this again is the reason why I wanted this as an agenda item, so that you can present this information. And a couple of things. I'm not talking about gifting anybody anything. You know, the cleaning costs were not what was the majority of that bill. The majority of that bill was the supplies, right? And you've specified already that 2 of those games, they won't need that supplies. Well, that's great to know, right? There's no gift there because they won't need it, because there's a difference of 1 day between when they have the game or when Gonzales has the game and when the Knights have the game, right? All I'm saying is that for a very long time, and I understand the Knights are not part of us, but our school, all the members of the Knights are probably in our schools. I would wager, right? The majority of it. So, and the parents as well. So they're not some organization that is way out there. My point is that I think it would have been nice that we would have worked with them initially. It didn't seem like that to me. And again, this is the reason why I wanted to have it as an agenda item so that we can discuss it properly.
So Mr. Ayon, you did not contact me to find out what communication had occurred. In fact, there was communication with our MOT team. All of that is documented via email. There was an invitation and a subsequent meeting with myself, the president of the Knights, the vice president of the Knights, an additional 2 officers. At the end of that meeting, I committed to forwarding the cost as anticipated by the district, which I did. At that point, I had no further contact with the Knights. They did not reach out to me. The next time that I saw them, they were giving public comment. Subsequent to the public comment, they continued to contact board members. I'm the one that initiated contact again at the request of the board today, and I initiated contact with Mr. Avila. Once again, it's not listed as an information, action, or consent item because it is not an area that this board has oversight of. I listed it this evening under my superintendent's report. I did not ignore the fact that you had asked for it. I can introduce and discuss the item as superintendent and as an area that impacts the district. But once again, it would not appear on a board agenda because it has nothing, the board has no oversight over that organization.
Right, and I'm not saying that we oversee the Knights at all, but the board does oversee MOT as an example. We oversee the entire district.
Actually, the board oversees me and I oversee MOT.
Right, and so, true, but if we want to question you about how you oversee MOT, we can do that.
That's correct.
Right, so we're saying, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ayon.
Yeah.
Ms. Daniel? Ms. Flores?
No, I think we need to just get through the rest of the agenda.
Okay, Ms. Cuevas?
No, we're all set. Thank you for your report, Yvette.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Yvette, for your report. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move to item number 15, action items. We have quite a few on here, so we're gonna try to see if we can move through them properly. Item 15.1, adoption of resolution number 2021-2022-01, authorizing the establishment of funds, Fund 08-Student Activity Special Revenue Fund. Can I get a motion, please?
So move Araceli.
Second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Is Mr. Drake?
No, he was there for questions if there weren't.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dr. Drake. Item number 15.2, adoption of resolution number 2021-22-02, approving the GAN limit and projected limit calculations. May I get a motion, please?
So move Araceli.
Second by,
Daniel?
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Item 15.3, approval of unaudited actuals for the 2020-21 fiscal year. And this is the presentation that Dr. Drake and Yesenia did earlier.
So move Daniel?
Second by, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Item 15.4, approval of revision to current salary schedules, new salary schedule, and 2.5% pay increase for unrepresented group, management certified, management confidential, certified classified pupil services, retroactive to July 1st, 2020. May I get a motion,
I
please?
have a question.
Sure.
On here, it says that the increase is unrepresented group, which follows the Me Too clause. I thought that the unrepresented do not follow the Me Too clause. That was only to CSEA and GTA.
No, historically in this district, the Me Too clause has applied to
All.
unrepresented as well as the superintendent.
So that's historically, but that's not board policy, correct?
There's no board policy specific to GTA, CSEA, or unrepresented.
Right, okay. I have, oh, I'm sorry, are you done? Or?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, normally when we approve salary schedules, because this is what this is, and they're individual salary schedules. We normally don't group them together. That way we can, as a board, discuss each one on its merits and vote on it.
That's correct. That's why they are delineated on your agenda separately.
It's one agenda item for all the salary schedules.
Correct, because they're all unrepresented, but the salary schedules are separated and delineated under the agenda item.
Right, but you either vote yes for all of them or no for all of them.
You
Because
can
they're,
also pull the agenda item.
right.
And separate them out.
I would like to make a motion to table it, to pull them out. That way we can speak to each on their merits.
Okay, so
Table it to the next board meeting
Yeah, next board.
versus just talking about it now.
Yeah. No, well, no, because it is a difference. It is a difference in the sense that if we table it to the next board meeting, each salary schedule will
that's
be.
not, well, how come you didn't ask these questions before they had a time? You didn't reach out to the superintendent?
Jose, once the board agenda is posted, you well know it cannot change.
You had time, like we all do,
I didn't know
to
what was
reach
on the
out.
agenda. You did. I didn't.
We all had time when it got posted to reach out.
To
to the-
say what?
Does tabling the agenda item impact the salaries for staff?
Yes.
Of course.
It's retroactive as of is it
2020.
July, yeah, 2020. We're way past that. 1 week's not gonna make a
So is the
difference.
concern about the salary schedule and is this applying to the Me Too clause?
So,
Because the Me Too clause gives everybody on that list the same raise as CSGTA
Both unions, yeah.
has negotiated for. So are you questioning the Me Too 2.5%? Because that's what this agenda, it's the 2.5%. That's the salary schedule. That's showing the increases of the Me Too clause, 2.5%. So is that what you're questioning, what was on the Me Too clause?
okay. Okay. First of all, the reason I make a motion to table this is to separate each salary schedule. There are 3 separate salary schedules here. In the past, we address each salary schedule on its own, whether they are represented or not. That is past practice.
Is the salary schedule related to the 2.5 pay increase for unrepresented group?
Yes,
This is related. Okay,
course.
so are you wanting to table this because are you questioning the 2.5 pay increase, which is related to the salary schedule that applies to every single unrepresented group? So all of the salary schedule that you're asking to individually review is only be changing because of the Me Too clause to 2.5%. That's it. So are you questioning the Me Too clause?
I want to
Because that's what
debate.
that's what you're asking to discuss. That's what the agenda item is about. It's about the increase of salary due to
The-
the 2.5 pay increase through the Me Too clause. So if you're going to want to address that, it's because you're going to want to discuss the 2.5 pay increase that is through the Me Too clause they have with negotiations.
Thank you for your explanation. The motion on the floor, however, is to table this and break it out into each individual salary schedule so that we can discuss each individual salary schedule. Yes, in regards to the 2.5
May I
salary increase.
clarify one thing? Each salary schedule is included under unrepresented. If you're going to break them out, that's a different process. Because right now, it's under one umbrella, the same way GTA is one umbrella over teachers, over counselors. CSEA is one umbrella over paras, it's over MOT. If you are proposing to break this apart, that's not just a salary discussion. That is a restructuring of our compensation schedules.
Which is why.
Again, if you guys refuse to table this, then I guess we will speak to it right now. I mean, it's,
Well,
that was that's
it-
my motion.
if you're motioning and that's a vote, I'm questioning why you want to table it if the action item
Okay,
is
so
to
there-
approve the.
Debatable.
Araceli, hold on. There is a motion. His motion is to, I need to get a second if there's a
I'll
second.
second.
So there, okay, so it's been motion, it's been second. All those in favor? There's two favors. Maria, I'm against the motion, so,
To table it?
yeah, table it or to talk about, I'm against it, both.
Just do roll call.
So can we get a roll call, Monica, please?
I'm sorry, Monica. And to separate out the salary schedules into 3 agenda items. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, each individual salary schedule.
So I apologize if I did not communicate correctly. If we no longer are including these categories under unrepresented, this is not a conversation solely about a compensation increase. You are restructuring our pay system for our employees. So if you want HR to go back and look at that and do a potential study, we can do that. We can move positions to GTA and limit the amount. Well, what I'm saying is, we've got a category. If you want to break that category down.
No, that's not what I'm
You
saying.
can't say 2.5 for nurse and psychs and no 2.5 for classified management. They are considered one, it's considered one umbrella.
So I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, that they're all underrepresented. I understand that. In the past, I have myself, as part of the board, approved one of these salary schedules before, right? Individually. And what happened to nothing happened. We took it individually. Now we're taking them all collectively. That's my point. We did it individually before. Now it's collective. And I just wanted to do it individually again.
But this is because they're collective because it falls under the Me Too clause. So they're all being compensated under the Me Too clause. The other salary schedules, I think, pertain to a different issue. This is regarding the outcomes of negotiations with GTA, solely based on the negotiations of GTA and that the pay increase they got and the Me Too clause. That is what this one action item is about.
But I even brought this up before about the Me Too clause, that when I started with CSBA with the Good Beginnings program, they said that the Me Too clause we shouldn't be doing that. That's not a
But
practice.
that's
that
been the
they
history
recommend.
of this district that we have
Okay,
So then
honored
the
Me
question
Too
is
in
who
the
decides
past.
that?
But
And
you're,
So now
okay,
we-
but if we go to CSBA trainings and you want us to go to CSBA trainings to get more trainings and to go by their recommendations, we can't pick and choose. Only listen to CSBA when they say this, but
So-
don't listen to them when they say this.
Les, may I explain something though? You are not wrong in what your training was, but you joined the board in December. We entered this year without notifying unrepresented groups that you are no longer going to honor past precedent. And so if the board is going to decide to do that, I suggest that you review the current data associated with that, because as I've stated before, we're getting to a point where there's not a differentiation between certificated staff at our veteran senior staff and our administrative staff. And so I have no problem pulling this, but what I need is clarity on the part of the board as to what it is that you want to discuss.
Because this is based on,
That's exactly what
this is
what we want to
based on
discuss.
an agreement made last year, correct?
No, they're unrepresented. There's no
That this
agreement
board
made.
Has not notified 62 employees that they are no longer going to honor previous precedent of awarding a Me Too.
And I'm not
So then my
willing to do
next
that.
question is, if that is something that we choose to do, is that just something we just decide, or is there a process?
No, it would be agendized and there would need to be a discussion in open session.
Let's.
So is there some legality to all of a sudden, this is an agreement that we've had previously and all of a sudden now we want to change it? Is there?
Not an agreement. It's not an agreement. It's a past practice. It's a different than, it's not, you can't look
It's
up.
not a past
board
practice until we're
policy.
no longer
You
practicing
cannot
it.
look
We're
up board
practicing it
policy.
today.
You cannot
It's a
look.
current practice,
you-
Cesar.
But
You
it's
can't,
not board policy, I'm telling you, it's not.
Right, but board policy doesn't decide salary and compensation. A contract does with our unions, our bargaining units, GTA and CSEA. What I am trying to explain, and there is a legal aspect to this, is that you are changing past precedent. And so, yes, in a court of
Notifying
law,
the
the
employees.
board could be challenged that while you have the ability to do that, you at least have to provide adequate notice. And these are employees that have provided service with the understanding that once we resolve the contract with GTA, once we resolve the contract with our classified bargaining unit, they then would benefit from the same thing. Because unrepresented has no opportunity to discuss whether it's 2.5 or 5%. They just get whatever everybody else gets.
and I think if this is something we want to change from this point forward, that's a conversation we could have. But to decide to change this today, when there's been no notification to the current employees, I don't think that's best practice. And it's not something that we should do for what's already been, what's already been happening. Past practices is if we decided to do this, Me Too clause stopped back in May. That's a past practice. This is current practice. There's been no decision by the board to remove the Me Too clause. It's current practice. You're asking, maybe we should now start having a conversation about removing the Me Too clause. Okay, that's something that we can do.
I
in
did
the
bring it up.
future.
I brought it up.
Okay, but it's not on the agenda tonight. So if you're trying to change this Me Too clause to today without notifying the staff, because that's what you're doing when you're asking to separate the unrepresented groups. That's what you're asking to do, to go over each salary schedule to decide if they should get the Me Too clause or not, when the Me Too clause is current practice. If you want to change that practice, we need to do that first, notify the staff that we're doing that, and then do it from this point on. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying,
I
but I have saying, I brought it up before.
I'm
and
not
it
denying
hasn't
that.
been-
And it hasn't
But
been
I-
brought
It
up.
hasn't been,
Well,
I
it hasn't been
understand that.
addressed.
and it hasn't been
I
presented.
understand that, but we
Well,
can't
just
address
because-
it today.
I know.
It's
So-
gotta be something we need to put on there. Now, everybody knows it's something that wants to get addressed. If that's the case, we do that as we move forward. But today, are we going to say that we're going to decide to remove the Me Too clause today without notifying all the employees it's going to impact? Or is that something that we're willing to do by separating all these unrepresented groups into individual groups? Because that's what you're asking to do. Without notificating staff, without giving them notice, you're asking for us to do that. And if that is something we can get challenged on, that's gonna cost us. And that's something we need to tread on very lightly. Can we do this? So let's just say we've asked, okay, great. Let's put it on the agenda, or however we need to do it in the future. But to make that decision today without proper notification that a staff's salary is going to change after its current practice, I don't think it's the best decision for the district. Because if that's if we can get challenged on that, you're talking about liability for litigation, more attorney costs. I mean, for something that we need to, if that's the case, if this board wants to decide that we get rid of the Me Too clause, then we need to put it forward on the agenda, have the conversation, or however.
That's because, okay, first of all, we're talking about not a change. We're not saying, hey, we're gonna reduce your salary to $10. We're talking about a raise, okay? It's not a change, and we're talking about positive change potentially. That's what we're talking about. And, as far as the notification that we're not, you potentially gonna follow past practice, that would put us in
in legal jeopardy, I really would like to get a legal opinion on that. I
This,
really would like to do
this
that.
is current practice.
our
So
council.
this group of unrepresented staff members have an expectation that they are also going to fall under the Me Too clause that is current practice. So if you're saying we're going to review each salary schedule to decide what, whether they get the
And-
2.5 or not, that's a change in salary.
Their expectation is that we do it today. We haven't done it since July 1st, 2020.
But the current practice
May I
is,
interject? Yes, the expectation is today, because as I stated previously, the expectation of unrepresented is that they follow certificated and classified. And when you minimize this conversation by saying it's a raise, it's not $10, once again, for public record, if you look at the salaries of the management team and unrepresented employees in this district, we do not provide a competitive wage. And so while this may be something that you do not perceive to be that important, as exemplified by your comment about it's a raise, it's something positive, there are people depending and have been waiting patiently for this. The board itself made comment about administrators, about other unrepresented groups. They are not only doing their job, they're covering classrooms. So I do feel the need to ask the board to consider that, because the board has also made mention about the morale of this district. We're talking about a total of a third of our employees that are considered unrepresented, approximately 40 that between management and our psychs and our nurse. The morale attached to this conversation on their part is not going to be that good, because when we're discussing whether or not they merit what they historically have received, that does send a message to my employees, to my leadership team. So I would ask for the board to provide clarity in terms of next steps and what they want, but also to be aware of the implications of this conversation.
Part of the public comments we received is all the need for teacher aides, for all the need that we have at La Gloria. And, there's a such thing as a zero-sum game, right? That if you have $1, I can't get the dollar. And so to me, that's the prism I'm looking at it at, that, hey, maybe for now, I'm not saying forever, but maybe for now, we can use those funds to fill in those gaps of that need that we have at our other sites. I would wager, I don't know, but I would wager that if you would ask the unrepresented folks, hey, do you mind just waiting? I don't know what that period is, but just waiting a little bit until we satisfy that need, then we'll take care of you. I don't know that they would say, yeah, I wouldn't mind. I don't know that.
So you can wager, but I'm going to use data, and I apologize, but I'm going back to the data in this district. Board member Daniel was at Fairview when they went through a rotation of 5 administrators. The ability for the district to hang on to current administrative staff is imperative. We just lost our director of technology services. We have other administrators who have the ability to leave our district and make more, and in some cases, make more for less work days, because our work calendar also is longer in certain positions than in other districts. In regards to public comment and La Gloria, that public comment came in before we assigned an additional classroom teacher at kindergarten, and Ms. Dietrich made mention of that. Class sizes in kinder now range between 19 students and the class limit of 24. We invested the money in placing another certificated teacher. If the board wants to consider the addition of instructional assistants, I would ask that we have that conversation in the context of additional services we want, but not in context of either we're looking at a salary increase for unrepresented or our paraprofessionals.
I believe that that's an unfair paradigm. Yeah. You can't, I don't agree with the statement that we asked the unrepresented group to just wait a little longer so that maybe we can fund something else. Because that's basically asking, we're asking to fund something else on your guys' back. I mean, we would never ask teachers to do that. We would never ask classified staff to do that. It's just, it's not the best message to send here to the board. I know there's a vote on the table, but I want to just remind the board that this is current practice. If we want to change current practices, we need to have a conversation and give the staff enough time to have those expectations set on them. But to do that today in this board meeting, when there's already kind of an expectation that this is going to happen because the Me Too clause is current practice, and then to all of a sudden say, let's change it so we can save money and help the sites, I think it's a wrong message to send to staff, period. And I'm not saying that maybe it's not that's how you mean it, but earlier it's perception. And as we're having this conversation, everyone's listening. And that's what it's gonna sound like. So I ask that we have the conversation in the future, but not make this decision today to not honor what's existed with the Me Too clause.
But isn't that what the whole process of tabling it is, to table it so we can?
But you're
have the
asking
discussion?
people who are expecting
Wait.
to wait for this salary adjustment.
So
We're
maybe
asking
the
people to
idea is
wait.
To adopt what's on the action item and then schedule a future meeting where we can.
If you
address
want to
it.
change salaries in the future, let's have the conversation about changing the way unrepresented groups get their salaries adjusted. But to do it today, after they've been doing the work, I don't think it's a right message we want to send to our staff, period, to any staff member. We do not want to be sending messages that we're going to decide on the whim to make adjustments to salaries. I don't think that's the right message to send.
And also, we talk about, retaining staff, making sure that they feel part of this. Well, this is not gonna send them the opposite.
The district office supports the sites. If we start thinning out at the DO, you're a teacher. Does that disrupt sites being able to function when the district office is not fully staffed and no one's giving clear direction because nobody has time? Can that possibly disrupt sites for the people who work at the schools or have worked at schools? Is that a possibility? When your district office is not fully staffed and everyone's got too much on their plate, and so the directives trickling down are not being fully given correctly, that could disrupt sites. That could disrupt the sites. It starts from the top down. So to do this now when this has been an expectation, and I would advocate this same thing for all of our represented groups, to decide to choose what to do with someone's salary now when they've already expected it, because we have a current practice of Me Too without proper notification. I don't think it's the message we should be sending to the district staff. Now, if we want to have a conversation in the future and change how they get their salaries increased in the future, then let's go that route. But this is something that's already been expected. So that's what I'm gonna say. And if there's a motion already, because we've got more business to take care of, or we're gonna have to just pop. I'm
already
gonna
get-
ask
it's
for
9 o'clock.
president, can you take the motion and take a vote?
Roll call, Monica? No. The what? That's not it's either yes or no.
Oh, she could take it later. She can wait until it goes back.
Gonna,
The process.
No. So are you abstaining?
so you're abstaining from it?
Yes.
Wow, okay. All right.
Jesus.
So it gets tabled and moved to the next. Thank you. 15.1, to ratify the listed contracts entered into by the superintendent on behalf of the district per board policy 3312 as August 31st, 2021. Can I get a motion, please?
Move Cuevas.
Second by?
Daniel?
All those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Number 15.6, approval of 3-year financial auditing services proposal from Christie White, Inc. Can I get a motion, please? Moved by Ms. Cuevas, second by
Second, Daniel?
Ms. Daniel. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone
Yes.
opposed? Carries with unanimous consent. 15.7, approval to enter into an agreement with Hartnell Community College for adult education services to receive adult ed funding of $410,146 as sub-recipient of the California Adult Education Program.
So moved, Daniel?
Second by? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Number 15.8, approval to enter into a general services agreement between Therapy Travelers for fiscal year 2021-2022. May I get a motion, please?
So moved, Daniel?
Second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.9, approval of client services agreement with Solian Health LLC, a staffing agency, to provide one speech language pathologist. May I get a motion, please?
So moved, Daniel?
Second by? All those in, all those in favor? Aye.
I had a quick question on this. Just for clarification, I think it's great that we're having a speech pathologist. I was reading the contract and it did say that it's teleservice. Does that mean it's only over the phone? They're
Virtual.
virtual. Oh, okay. And it also says, because the contract I think is, I can't see it from here, but like 130,000 or something like that. And that the basically it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, 8 to 5, whatever, 40 hours per week, and that we will pay it whether the services are provided or not. So if there's students there, great, but if there aren't, we're still pretty much going to pay that. Now, how are we going to make sure that we do have students from 8 to 5 with the consultant?
So it's not the 8 to 5 with students. There's also time that's given to the speech and language therapist to do reports, IEPs, et cetera. The Assistant Director of Educational Services, Claudia Perlin, will monitor that.
Okay, so then, okay, and then for future, if we can have maybe a quarterly update as far as what the services were that were provided. And I just want to make sure that every second that consultant is available to service kids, that that's happening, that we have a kid in front of them to be able to take care of.
So we can't guarantee that because we are at the whim of the parent. And we have times when parents do not have their children there for therapy. And that's not only with speech and language therapy. So we can give the board an update when Ed Services does their update under special ed.
Okay, and do we have around the number of kids that might be able to use these services?
I don't have an exact number, and the number will decrease. And we would go back and revisit the contract if in fact we could find and employ a speech therapist who also is an unrepresented employee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because the contract is such that we could probably find a full-time employee.
We haven't been able to find it yet, which is
Yeah.
why we're doing contract
Okay,
services.
okay, thank you.
If we have a motion, but
Yeah,
I
so-
was just gonna ask something because I know we're running on time. Are we gonna need Dr. Drake and Dr. Galicia anymore? Can we release them? Because I know they both have drives.
So we do have personnel things, so I'm going to ask Hector to stay. But Dr. Drake, it doesn't look like we have any business services things anymore.
Yeah, but you can stay if you feel like staying. All right, thank you. Go ahead. So we have a motion.
In a second, I think.
So it's been second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Number 15.10, approval of the 2021-2022 Local Control and Accountability Plan, LCAP Federal Addendum. We get a motion, please.
Motion, Daniel?
Second by?
Second, Cuevas?
All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.11, certificated personnel assignment order number 21-22-21 to open 1, 2, 3 combo combo grade teacher position at La Gloria Elementary School effective August 12, 2021. Can I get a motion, please? So, second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor?
I just have a quick question on this. From Mrs. Dietrich's presentation, I believe she only said we only have one combo class in La Gloria, 4th and 5th. Is that not the case?
That was dismantled 2, 3.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. Well, so then this teacher will be doing what?
No, this is in reference, this is another one that you're doing retroactively. We had to have a 2-3 teacher in the classroom at the beginning of the year.
Oh, okay. So, and this
the
is the
date
class
right
that was
there.
dismantled?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Now, are we gonna be able to use this teacher for something else?
She is currently assigned to a straight grade level.
Oh, great, great. Okay, thank you.
Also, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Number 15.12, certificated personnel assignment order number 21-22-23. Excuse me, to open one CTE computer science teacher position at Fairview Middle School effective August 9, 2021. Get a motion?
Motion, Daniel?
Second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Item 15.13, revision of the Director Systems and Data Management job description. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Daniel?
Second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor of? Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.14, revision of the occupational therapist job description. May I get a motion?
So moved, Daniel?
Second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.15, new pay rate for substitute teachers effective September 13, 2021. May I get a motion?
Motion, Daniel?
Second by Mr. Lopez or Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.16, side letter agreement between the Gonzales Unified School District and Gonzales Teachers Association for addition to the current language in the collective bargaining agreement, Article 5, wages, second language of proficiency pay, Section C.8. I get a motion, please?
I had a quick question. So
Sure.
currently there isn't a compensation for the B-Clat? Is that what that's,
So the language is changed in the contract. Yes,
so they'll receive an addition, a compensation for?
yes, they will receive an additional stipend for the class.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. So, yeah, so it was motioned by Ms.
Myself,
Daniel
yeah.
and second by Ms. Cuevas. Yeah. Perfect. Number 15.17, miscellaneous personnel assignment order number 21-22-07 to authorize a variable term waiver request for Danny Bravo Trujillo, certificated substitute during the 2021-2022 school year. May I get a motion? So moved by Mr. Lopez, second by
Second,
Ms.
Daniel?
Daniel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.18, miscellaneous personnel assignment order number 21-22-08 to authorize a variable term waiver request for Stephanie Zavala, certificated substitute during the 2021-2020 school year. May I get a motion?
Motion, Daniel?
Daniels by second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye. Passes with unanimous consent. 15.9, miscellaneous personnel assignment order number 21-22-11 to authorize a variable term waiver request for Alisa F. Rodriguez, for certificated substitute during the 2021-2022 school year. May I get a motion?
Motion, Daniel?
Second by Cuevas. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.20, consideration to approve miscellaneous personnel assignment order number 21-22-10 to authorize hiring of Stephanie Zavala as a certificated substitute under a variable term waiver request for the 2021-2022 school year. May I get a motion, please?
Motion, Daniel?
Second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.21, miscellaneous personnel assignment order number 21-22-13 to authorize a variable term waiver request for Karina Velasquez, speech therapist during the 2021-2022 school year. Motion by Mr. Lopez. Can I get a second?
Second, Daniel?
Daniels, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.22, miscellaneous personnel assignment order number 21-22-15 to authorize a variable term waiver request for Magda M. Campos, certificated substitute during the 2021-2022 school year. May I get a motion, please?
So moved, Daniel?
Daniel, second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposes? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.23, classified personnel assignment order -21-22-19 to open one
.55 FTE Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Lead Position district-wide for the 2021-2022 school year. May I get a motion?
Motion, Daniel?
Second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. 15.24 Certificated Personnel Assignment Order Number 21-22-22 to open one physical education PE teacher position at Fairview Middle School effective August 9, 2021. Motion by Mr. Lopez. Can I get a second?
Second.
Ms. Cuevas, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Moving on to consent agenda items, number 16. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board action unless a member of the board, staff, or public request specific items be discussed and or removed from the consent agenda. It is understood that the administration recommends approval of all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted and recommended. I know we do have one item, 16.28, that we're gonna be pulling to make a correction on it. Any other items? Okay. So can I get them? It's the name is gonna be corrected to from Paul.
Should be Warner.
Warner, yes.
I was gonna bring that up, but working with him, I was like, oh, he didn't put his real first name there.
So that's it, just that. That's the actual correction. Is that okay, everybody? Yeah, great. So now can I get a motion then?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
I said, moved by Ms. Daniel, second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The consent agenda is passed with unanimous consent. Governing. On the item. Okay, so now we're gonna take action on item 16.28. Consider to approve certificated personnel assignment order number 21-22-24 to appoint Werner Paul Dietrich III as a computer science teacher at Fairview Middle School effective August 12, 2021. Can I get a motion?
Motion, Daniel?
Second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes with unanimous consent. Perfect. Good. Governing Board, 17.1, governing team comments, Mr. Cesar Ayon.
Thank you. Yeah, like Mr. Soriano mentioned, this Friday is the megaphone game. It's one of the oldest games in Monterey County, over 100 years. Both King City and Gonzales are pretty much the same, founded in the same time. So it's been going on every year. Whoever wins the game keeps the megaphone and gets to talk a little bit of encouragement to the other team so that they win the next year. So I do hope that everybody's there. It should be fun, and yeah, I'm really happy to see the kids out there and playing sports, engaging, joining clubs, doing all the things that we know kids love to do, and working on that social, emotional, those activities. And you could just tell the happiness in their face. And I just, I'm really, really glad to see that after a year and a half.
Thank you. Sorry,
I got to attend my subcommittee with the superintendent this week, and I was like to say, very proud because even ROP program said, wow, Gonzales is very well represented. Myself, Superintendent Irving, Dr. Drake, and Candace were all there. And I think we had the most representatives from our district. So that was nice, and hearing the updates from MPC and Hartnell. So I really, I'm loving being on this subcommittee and CTE. And I know I always bring it up to Yvette when I meet with Yvette about CTE. And I want this program. So that's pretty much my comments for.
Thank you. As far as
I don't even know what committee I'm on anymore because my committees have all been canceled. So if I can get an update on whether my committees are going to thrive this year, or do I need to jump on someone else's committee?
Thank you. Ms. Cuevas?
Yes, I did a couple walkthroughs today. I was so amazed that the kids are still focused at the high school and at Fairview. And I know that it wasn't just because we were walking in. because I like to look through the window before we walk in the classrooms. And I am just really proud of all the students at Gonzales Unified School District. And I also want to thank the district staff for being there this past Friday at the football game. I know that whenever we play against either Greenfield or King City, it gets a little rowdy, but thankfully it was a Thursday game, so it wasn't too out of control. But this Friday, I'm expecting a big crowd, so we would appreciate your support out there again. And I'll be out there too in case you guys need anything. But that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Corrales. Again, I want to thank Superintendent Irving and all her staff for the great work they've done. Also to the board members for your service to our students, our community. We might not always agree, but we need to be able to, at least have conversations civilly that we set the example for others. I know it's hard sometimes. I too have to remind myself of, hey, I'm in leadership and I need to be better at what I do. So with that in mind, I want to thank all of us for taking the time to be here tonight. To our IT department, thank you guys.
Thank
because
you.
You guys are awesome. Okay, moving on to future agenda items, the 17.2.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Lopez, if I may, I know we're not supposed to address public comments, but a couple public comments ago, maybe last regular board meeting, a parent said something about COVID protocols. So as an example, and I've been asked that too, just as from a parent who didn't even have kids at the district anymore, but she said, so what happens when a kid, either tests positive or somebody in their household tests positive, what happens to the class? And quite honestly, I had a little bit difficulty answering her correctly. So I think it would be really useful for parents and community members to know what is the process for that when that happens. Obviously, it does happen, and so that they can have confidence that hey, you know what, we know it will happen and we're gonna handle it, and this is how we do it. To try to encourage that ADA to keep going up, right? And the other thing that I wanted to, and I brought this up before, is the Measure G funds, that mystery treasure that's just waiting for us to be, to use, hopefully. I know it's a 20-year-old bond, but maybe there might be a couple $100,000 there, which, is real money. I hope that's the case and not $10. And hopefully we could use that for, we got many needs, as we all know. So, and then the last thing that I would, and Superintendent Irving, you mentioned this before. I think it was it must have been almost 2 years ago now, where we had one of the major PG&E power outages, and one of the kids said, hey, how is it that the school doesn't have power when we have solar panels, right? And I think you were gonna go and talk to the provider just to see about the contract, because that also happened again, right? Recently, power went out, and our schools we have IP phones, right? No power, no phone, right? So of course we have the radios, but the fob keys, and a lot of things that we really depend on power to be available for our students.
Do you want to?
You don't have to, not right now, anyway.
Future agenda items, that's what
Yeah,
we're under.
future
We're under
agenda.
17.2. Make a recommendation for the protocols for COVID. If they also be, that's information that can also be provided at the school site council meetings. So on top of that, because there are parents who attend school site councils and cafecitos that would probably be on those meetings more so than these meetings.
The only thing I'm asking for future, if we can, for the next board meeting, have a WASC update. And if we can get an update from the high school as to the teams and how it's working. What's the process going on right now? Because I know we have that just right around the corner. It's gonna be here before you know it.
Yep.
Like deadlines and all that.
Yeah.
Timeline. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Okay, just a reminder to the board, October 2nd is our study session day. So we're going to begin at 8 o'clock sharp till 2 o'clock. So breakfast and lunch will be provided to us and whoever's here. Okay.
And everybody, please be there.
Yes.
Did a keto breakfast? Make it keto.
Well, it's gonna
good,
be,
eat the meat.
I don't know. We'll figure it out somehow. We'll come up with something, since it's a Saturday. Future meeting dates.
Saturday.
I guess
So we have September 28th, regular board meeting, October 2nd, that's our study session. October 12th, regular board meeting, October 26th, regular board meeting, November 9th, regular board meeting, December 14th, this will be the regular board meeting and the last meeting of the school year, correct?
Wow.
I believe. But I mean, for the year, for the December 2021 school year, calendar year. And then I think that's when we're gonna restructure the board again, that date, correct? Reorganizational on the December 14th meeting. All right, well, thank you again. Can I get a motion for adjournment, please?
Motion, Daniel?
Second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We are adjourned at 9:30 PM. Thank you and good night, everyone. Safe travels.
Yeah, that would be better for sure.
Everybody. Dr. Drake, gracias.
Good luck to you.